Hey, everybody. It's Friday night and we're still alive.
Yeah. I was sitting here coughing and James would go, I'll wait till you get done coughing. I said, man, I will make that coughing cinematic as shit. So let that shit roll. It was like cinema. Fine film. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It was a film.
You got to watch out, you guys, because Tom has been at the biker bar this afternoon for several hours.
Yeah.
So he's already pre-gaming, so he's probably going to be incoherent by the end of this.
All right. Amy gave me two she gave me two very fucking stiff singles. They're doubles, but she charged me for singles. Amy.
So you had two.
Two, yeah.
Or
two.
really kind of four.
No, just two. Yeah, there's two. Two. Amy goes, damn, you got a little slimmer, fucking looking good. She goes, but your face looks all fucked up. I said, yeah.
That's awesome that she said that.
Yeah.
Man, your face looks all fucked up.
Your face looks all fucked up.
Gee, thanks.
And I said, yeah. And she goes, yeah. Her sister wife's fucking rough, man. Fucking. She's like, she's the biker girl. She's like, your eyes look like they're all just black, man. You look like a raccoon. Says, well, I'm not getting a whole lot of sleep, you know. Shit makes you kind of insomniac. I wake up every couple hours.
I do too.
On this shit, man. I gotta come off this shit, but you gotta do what you gotta do. It's like the holy grail, man, of fucking stacks, and I'm just. It's good though. I can feel it working, and I'm just hitting week 2. My legs fucking tearing me up. If I were to drop my drawers, man, my whole fucking legs nothing but one big bruise, where this thing just makes fucking goose eggs every time I inject it. Which is like a common reaction with this. It just beats you up. And I'm not really sleeping that well. You know, remember how soundly I used to sleep on this?
Well, yeah.
But
I'm not either, but I don't know if it's that shit or if it's just... Now, because I used to be able to, like, sleep through, and sometimes I'd get up, like, because I had to pee or something like that. But now I have to get up, like, 2 or 3 times to pee, like, in the middle of the night. Well, and the thing about it, too, is that obviously Wednesday night... because the hurricane was hitting, we didn't get much sleep that night because it was so fucking loud, and we were like afraid to that something was going to happen. And then like the power went out and like all this other kind of so it got hot in there and shit like that. So we didn't really but last night I actually got decent sleep because I was exhausted. Yeah, I mean same with me. I mean, last night was the best sleep I've had in 2 weeks on this shit. Yeah, and I only woke up once. Yeah, I did too. I woke up one time because I had to pee, but that's good. And the rest of the time, I got back in bed and fell right back to sleep, which never happens. Usually I lay there for like an hour and a half. But I think it's because we were so exhausted, like from the night before. Yeah. Because the hurricane night, I think I maybe 3 hours, and it was broken because, like I said, I tried to fall asleep, and then like I kept waking up because of the noise. And then I was like, I'm gonna fuck this. I'm gonna go put earplugs in. So I put earplugs in, and then I fell asleep for an hour or two, and then I woke up, and then the power was out, and then it was hot in there, and I was just like, fuck it. And then like finally at 4 o'clock I was like, okay, I can't sleep anymore because it was so noisy.
Are there any glasses over here I can read this, or I gotta go get glasses?
No, you gotta go. Why didn't you bring your glasses?
I fucking forgot. It's okay, y'all keep showing up. I'll be back.
What's your deal, man?
It does, man.
He's just so disorganized. Where's my glass? Where's this? Where's that? You forget your head if it wasn't screwed on. But yeah, so I have to say, like, considering I looked real quick at like some of the hurricane damage, like from Florida, like where it first came on shore, and I was like, man, we got so fucking lucky. We didn't have, like I said, we're about 30 miles, 30 miles, something like that, like north of downtown Orlando. So we were in the cone, but we were kind of like on the edge of the cone. And just the shit that we had was bad enough. You know what I mean? Like with the wind and the rain and everything like that. I kind of feel like, I think the main problem through here was in Orlando was flooding. Yeah. You know
I'm going to show y'all what this shit's doing to me. I got underwear.
All right, wait, are you going to take your pants off? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm going to show them right here. I got underwear.
Jesus Christ.
It ain't going to hurt nothing.
Are you sure you have underwear?
Look at that shit.
Why? Why would you do that to yourself? I don't understand.
It's worth it.
I don't understand.
It's worth it.
Well, then quit complaining about it then.
It's just fucking painful, man. Fuck. Jenny loves it when I take my clothes off. Don't listen to her.
Zach said, as much as I love my BF, we can't share a bed when sleeping. He sleeps cold, I'm hot. We both like to spread out and move around, and he snores. Yeah.
Actually, we've been trying it kind of. I sleep in the man cave sometimes. I'll come back in late. Sometimes. But it drives her crazy because I get grabby. You know what I'm talking about? I'm going to try to get some.
Well,
That's
it's
how
not
it is.
just
then
that.
She's sleeping and she's like, and I says, no, I'm going to get some.
I'm like, please don't like wake me up in the middle of the night, for Christ's sake. It's like, it's bad enough that I can't get any sleep as it is, and it's like I always wake up really early.
Sleep around this? How am I going to sleep around this? Right?
Well, plus you snore, and you snore,
all right.
and you kind of thrash around and like talk in your sleep, and you always are like listening to headphones, and I can always hear like coming from the headphones.
People, the boobs are amazing, and she's fucking getting back in shape. She's fucking looking real good. Her waist is getting small again. Fucking the legs are looking fantastic because she's been on that damn bicycle doing 30 miles a day. You've been off protocol for a couple of days, but that's okay. You need a little bit of rest, and then you're gonna go. You know, you're still not done, but. And then the protocol she's on, she's getting real good response. We're going to do a photo shoot here soon. I'm going to photo shoot that shit. I'm going to fucking share. I'm going to share with y'all motherfuckers. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Notice that he didn't ask me if that was all right.
It's already a done deal. It's already a done deal. I've already shared. I got good photos of Jenny that I've shared on Instagram and shit like that. It's just going to be like, it's not going to be X-rated or anything.
He never asked.
But fucking... Jenny likes fucking photo shoots. She's just about time for a photo shoot.
Thank you, Guamokan. Glad to see y'all are doing okay. Yeah, we're glad too. Like the worst that happened, we didn't have any damage. Actually, the street looks pretty good. Like I looked around out there, it didn't look like we just were like branches down and shit like that. The power went out. It was out for what? Like, I think it went out between 1 and 2 a.m.
No, it went out at about 3.
Oh, did it? I didn't know what time.
3 in the morning. I was awake when it went out.
Yeah, and then it came back on like at between 5 and 6. I think it was more like 5 and 6 next afternoon.
I guess it was. Yeah.
And then we discovered that we didn't have running water either. Like we didn't notice earlier because there was still water in the system.
Yeah.
And we just said, oh, the water pressure's low. But then we were like, oh wait, no, we don't have any water. So we called them, but they were already working on it. So
by the time the water ran out, it was only like another hour before we had water anymore.
Yeah, I think about 8 o'clock at night they finally fixed it and like got the water going because we were just kind of like, oh shit, we actually don't have any water. That's not good.
It was all good.
But yeah, like other than that was the worst of it. And honestly,
What pissed me off was that the power goes out. So I waited fucking couple hours, and I says, well, I guess I'm gonna have to put the fucking generator together. The first generator, my older generator, I said, this should be enough to just run the downstairs like the fucking freezer and the refrigerator and some appliances so that we can cook on. So I'll run that. But then I had a problem with that one. So then I said, fuck it. So I busted out the brand new one and it started it for the first time. And that's like a fucking real nice one. I said, oh yeah, so it was kicking ass. The new one, the blue one, I forgot what company it was. And I only ran it for like 4 hours, and then the fucking power came back on. So all that shit was for nothing. I should have just waited it out.
I mean, and the thing about it was that one nice thing was that one silver lining of the hurricane was that the temperature plunged down to like 65 degrees. So we didn't even need the air conditioning. We just opened the windows and it was like a beautiful, cool breeze that came in. And I was like, shit, I was sitting there by the window in my office because I opened it. Me and Pookie sat there like all day just reading and I got cold.
Yeah.
I put a jacket on.
Your fucking sweater on.
I put my sweater on. That's from outside.
That's what made that hurricane good for us, is that it wasn't hot. It was cold. Cool. And, by the time I was watching it live on my tablet, when I still had power, started watching it hit Altamont Springs, right fucking south of us. And by the time it hit there, it was down to tropical force winds. So it wasn't a hurricane by the time.
It was about 75 when it hit us, which is right on the board. I think 74 is the cutoff for tropical storm, and then 75 is hurricane. So it was a category 1. When it hit us.
Yeah.
And like I said, that was that was where the eye was, which was about 25, 30 miles south of us. So we were still in the cone. But like I said, even that, like even being outside of it and even it weakening, I'm glad it wasn't any worse than that, because that was like bad enough. It was just like, it was like making the whole house rattle and creak and shit like that. And I was kind of like worried about it because it was like so loud. So loud. And I can't even imagine, like I said, I was watching earlier, like the shit from Lee County, like right around Naples and shit like that. Man, that place looks like a fucking nuke hit it.
Yeah.
There's especially like right on the coast, it's like there's some buildings left still there, but they're all fucked up. And then like there's gaps in between where there used to be houses and now there's nothing. Like the sea just came in and just swept it all away. There's nothing left.
Pookie was tripping too. She was up here top floor,
Pookie.
right near the the top of the stairs, which is centralized on the fucking top floor. And from there, she can see all the windows. And she was looking at, pretty much trying to look at all the windows, keep an eye on everything. Like, what the fuck is going on? And I pop out, fucking, what's up, Pook? And she's like, wind's blowing. I said, yeah, it's blowing.
She didn't like it.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, she was
Funny.
she was wigging out. She didn't seem to care that much about the power going out because, like I said, it's a cat. She can see in the dark. She basically just sat like at the head of the stairs, like she always sits, like her little guard position, making sure Beijing doesn't come up here, guarding you guys. And she just stayed there. But the next day when we opened all the windows, and especially like I was here in the office and I had the windows open and the curtains were blowing, and she was super nervous. Like she came and like sat right by me and I was reading, and then like the curtains would blow and she'd be like and she was like, and I kept going, it's okay, Pookie, it's just a curtain, but she kept like freaking out about it, and finally I had to take it and like tie it behind the thing because she was just like losing her mind. Then she'd like run and like hide under the couch and like peer out. It was so sad. And so I kept like trying, because she really, I mean, I think she came to see you a couple times. You were kind of fucking around with the generator and everything, but most of the day she sat like right by my leg. And she was just like looking around really nervous because she knew like shit was weird, because we don't usually have the windows open. We don't usually have the curtains open, so she would, and she could hear the generator like making noise. And so she was like really, really nervous. So she just like kept she kept walking circles around me and like looking at me and being like,
what's wrong?
Like, what's going on? I don't understand. And I kept trying to, Yeah, Willow Lee asked how Pookie was. Yeah, that's what we were saying.
Beige gave two shits.
She didn't give a shit.
She's been through a bunch of them. She's like, yeah, these are fun.
I think when it first came, she was like sitting on the porch or sitting at the window.
She was outside watching
going like, wow,
come.
Neat.
Yeah. She doesn't care. She's like, yeah, I was right, get it. She's cheering it on.
She's kind of an old lady.
Yeah.
She's not old, but she's older.
Yeah.
She's an older cat. So, yeah, she's been through a few, so she's like, she doesn't give a crap.
I think she's been through 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, probably, because
she's
what is she, 13, 14 years
about
old?
that.
Something like that. Zach says, by the way, Jen, did you show Tom my boyfriend with the fake titties on yet? No, I haven't.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, Zach sent me a picture of that. I forgot I should already show it.
Yeah. Are the fake titties nude?
Yeah.
Damn.
It's
Damn. Didn't even see him.
I know you didn't see him. Well, the picture will still be
Fuck
there
those
later.
dudes with fake titties, man. Fuck Zach, man. Knock it off, dude. Y'all are men. Y'all are men. Be men.
You let people do what they want, Tom. Nobody wants to do what you want to do. Or what you want to tell them to do.
I'm just
You're trying to tell everybody else what to do.
That's my job.
It's not, though.
It is now.
Who gave you that job?
Myself.
That figures.
God.
No such thing.
God did it.
No such thing.
I'm telling you.
Zach says, you sweet, innocent summer child. Here in Indiana, 67 feels hot when we get out of our winters. And Guamakun said the phrase, plunge down to 67 tells you all you got to know about Florida heat. That's what I'm saying. The fact that
73 feels pretty cool. Damn it.
The fact that I could be sitting by the window and it was 67 outside with the breeze and I had to have a jacket, that just goes to show like how fucking miserable and hot it is here. Usually that 67 actually felt cold to me. It felt really, really
I went
nice.
for a ride today, man. It felt beautiful. It was beautiful outside. Wind was blowing through the fucking jackets and shit. It was good. Real good.
It was warm today, but it wasn't like it had kind of a cooler breeze. Because I went out, I had to go down to Publix and get some stuff, and so I kind of went out. But it was still kind of warm, but not bad. Yeah, Will Elise, when I was watching news, it was wild. Yeah, I mean, I'm just really, really glad that it had broken up and kind of weakened by the time I got here. And now I'm kind of like wondering how the shit's gonna go, because like I said, my sister is supposed to come to Orlando tomorrow, and me and her are supposed to go to Disney on Sunday. Yeah. And so I don't know how it's going. I think that the Orlando airport had some damage, but I don't know if they've reopened yet. Like some of the other airports like opened, but I don't know if Orlando did yet. It wasn't open yesterday. So I don't know how she's going to get down here or what the fuck is going to go on, but we'll see. And I think Disney closed too. Yesterday. Or the day before. Yesterday. Because I imagine, like, nobody had power. Because everybody's power was out. Zach says, pretty soon I'm going to rearrange my room so I have a view out the window when I wake up and the leaves change color. Man, I kind of wish that I could see the leaves change color. Leaves don't change color here.
Yeah, they do.
They're either kind of green or they're dead. Or they change color when the tree dies.
Yeah. No, winter they kind of go into
kinda, but it's not really the same.
No, it's not like it is up north.
No, it's not really the same. Where you get like all this beautiful
up north
red and orange.
4 seasons really. Over here you kind of only have 2.
2
or 3.
1.5, I would say. 1.5.
The summer is also kind of a monsoon season in Florida. It rains every day at certain months. Kinda.
Yeah, most of the summer.
Yeah.
And, that's what I mean. It's just kind of like... With the hurricane, it was by the time it got here, it was really, really bad, but it's... We've had storms almost that bad that aren't hurricanes.
California has one season. That's it. Air conditioning. Because it's a desert.
Yeah.
It's a cool desert, basically.
Kwamokun said the update posts you guys made, because I posted on YouTube, reminded me of a Donner Party letter. Nowhere near as grim or hopeless, though. Yeah, I didn't say that we had to resort to eating each other or anything like that. It was
seriously, we had so many supplies and shit. We ate good.
That's what I mean. It was literally nothing. Literally nothing. The power was out for less than 24 hours. Running water was off for less than 24 hours. We had food. We had generators. We were fine. It wasn't hot out. We were fine. It was fine. Everything was back on, and last night we were just fucking watching. We were watching movies again. Or not. Actually, we didn't watch. You know what we watched? If any of you guys have Shudder, I think I brought this up before. But they have that series that's 101, scariest scenes in horror or whatever, and they're putting one up every week. I don't know what day they put it up though, Thursday or Friday. But there was a new one up last night, so I watched that. And then we've been watching. Because remember that show that was on History Channel it was called The Food That Built America, right? And then there was another one that was called, what was the one that we watched after that? It was The Food That Built America, and then it was The Something Else That Built America. And I can't remember what it was. And now we're watching The Machines That Built America. So the ones they did last night was about power tools. And then
they were saying that they have 2 seasons in California, hot and very... No. In Southern California... And I lived there for a long time until 81. It was 1 season around Long Beach and San Diego, and it was cool, 70 degrees. It seemed like it was 70 degrees all year round. I don't even remember it ever getting hot. Dry too. So no humidity. Only difference was every now and then it would rain. Every now and then, that was about it. That's all I remember. Unless I'm not remembering it right.
You might not be.
But I just don't remember anything. Nothing.
I mean, considering Hugo lives there now. And
yeah, but he might be up north.
That's true.
California's big.
Well, yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Southern California was fucking air conditioning. First time I went to Mississippi when I was a kid was the first time to go see my dad. It was the first time I ever encountered hot weather. It was just mind-blowing. I couldn't understand it. Yeah. I didn't know that there was weather until I went to Mississippi. I just thought it was air
there's
conditioning.
weather all night.
I just thought it was air conditioning and rain. That was it. Inside and outside, there was no air conditioning in any of the houses or buildings that I can remember. But you didn't notice it. It was comfortable everywhere, like 70 degrees all the time. That's what it seemed like. But there was no air conditioning.
Until you come to the South and discover
Yeah.
that we also have a season that kind of feels like a big, fat, sweaty, greasy man sitting on your head all year round.
Yeah.
So
It's
you know,
a natural
there's
defenses.
that.
It's a natural defenses is to keep other people out. And then I was a kid, and the first thing it was just fucking sweltering heat. First time I went to Mississippi, I was probably, I don't know, this is sometime in the 70s. I was probably about seven or eight, and it was just fucking mind-blowingly hot. And I remember being out. My first memory of it, I was out in front of, I think, my grandmother's yard, and I looked down at my feet, and there was one of those giant black locusts with the fucking yellow stripes on it. Remember those things?
Yeah.
And it just, my hair fucking stood up. I'd never seen anything like that. I was like, whoa, what the fuck? It was a trip.
You're like, is it supposed to look like that?
Yeah,
it's huge.
They're huge, giant
they're
fucking black
very
grasshopper.
large, yeah.
And you don't see them anymore. Used to see them a lot, but the South's not really the same as it was back when I was a kid. Used to be, when I was a kid, if you saw a parking lot at night, like say from a mall, every one of those parking lights out in the parking lot was nothing but just a huge swarm of fucking bugs. I mean, big bugs. And that's all gone now. I guess the amount of bugs has declined. Everybody had those damn ultraviolet bug zappers on the back porch. Remember those?
Yeah.
And all night long, pop, 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 pop. Be killing the bugs. Be a big pile of bugs underneath there, and fucking toads at the bottom. A bunch of toads trying to eat all those bugs. All those
Sitting there with their mouths open.
Yeah, trying to eat them. They'd be fat as fuck. It's fucking funny.
That's like the all-you-can-eat buffet.
Yeah. And what was funny is that they had those bug zappers, but they didn't make any difference. So they attracted the bugs, so you could kill them. Why didn't they just turn it off and not attract the bugs?
Because the bugs were going to be in clouds around your fucking house anyway, so you might as well winnow them all into one area and then like kill them all off.
I guess so.
You know what I mean?
But I remember that it seemed like there was an endless supply when I was a kid. There'd be
Well, I
fucking 5
mean,
or 6
functionally there
Yeah.
is, but you know, at least you kind of want, and maybe you're kind of hoping that it's like maybe this will be a deterrent to others, so they won't come around there. They'll go somewhere else.
A lot of them were cicadas. Fucking huge cicadas. They'd get up and down bug zapper and bah! They'd explode. They'd fall down all fucked up. Some toad tried to eat it. Hilarious.
Guamo says, anyone remember the mid-2000s Bravo's Scariest Movie Moments? Yeah, I remember that fondly. Actually, I've watched it like several times. He said that was my introduction to so much stuff, like a modern Dance Macabre in a way. Yeah, I mean, I talk about that Stephen King book, Dance Macabre, a lot because I read that when I was a kid. I think it came out in 81 or something like that. And I read a lot when I was a kid, and I had a mission to like watch or read like everything that he talked about in there. And it's like I didn't succeed completely, but I did see like a good chunk of the stuff that was in there and read it and stuff. But yeah, I do kind of feel like I like to keep up with those kind of lists because there's always, even though I feel like sometimes I've seen like a large chunk of all the good shit, but there's always stuff that slips through the cracks, you know? So you always got to kind of like keep up with it because I'm always kind of like finding stuff that somehow just slipped under the radar, you know?
He's saying that he's in L.A. and that it's hot every day. You don't know heat, dude. L.A. I don't even think gets 100. And the humidity's always low. It can get to be 100 plus here with 100% humidity. It's mind-bogglingly hot. But I don't remember real. I didn't live in L.A. I lived a little bit, I guess, south of there. Closest to L.A. I've ever lived was fucking Long Beach. It's not that far. I don't ever remember it getting hot. Not really. Maybe it might get 80, but it was dry. Real dry.
Well, and sometimes, too, I think that if you're kind of just out being a kid and, like, running around and stuff, you don't really think about it. Like, it doesn't bother you as much, maybe. So there might be that too. I don't really know.
Maybe. I don't remember anybody ever complaining about heat.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's dry.
Whereas down here, everybody.
Oh yeah, it's part of the culture to go. God damn, it's hot.
Well, it is.
Yeah. Part of the problem though is that Southerners are no longer acclimated to the heat. In the pre-air conditioner days, they didn't know any better. They just sucked it up. They didn't know how hot it was. Their bodies had adjusted to it. Now you're in air conditioning all the time. Then you step outside and it's like, God damn, it's hot. You want to go back inside air conditioning.
Yeah, like, fuck this. Which, like I said, I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't go back to like time before air conditioning. Not living down here. So if there was no air conditioning, I don't think most people would live down here.
Yeah, no,
like why would you? Why would you want to spend your entire life being that miserable and like uncomfortable?
Well, they didn't know any better than ones that did live here.
Well, yeah, like before AC, that's like you didn't really have a choice. You were just kind of like you lived down here and you just had to like deal with it. But now you do kind of have a choice mostly. So.
Oh, I've seen all the old houses in Mississippi just out in the middle of nowhere, and they were kind of like a Victorian-style plantation, kind of French colonial-looking house with awnings that went around them and like porches that went around the second floor, and they all had like glass doors that went from the seat pretty much halfway up to the ceiling all the way down the floor, and you'd open them up. I don't remember what kind of... So you could walk outside, and they'd open up all the damn windows. I guess they had screens too, and because the way they were arranged, they got air circulation, and they had, in the 1800s they had canopy beds with mosquito netting. It was like living in Vietnam, But I don't think they knew any better. They just walked around in there, had nice houses. They just opened all the doors and windows. It wasn't until the late 1800s they had electric fans installed in them. But there's no way to air condition them. I've seen them try to do ductwork, metal ductwork, and insulated it. You can do it, but it's a waste of money because the insulation just isn't there. The distance in between the walls isn't very much, and you can't get a lot of insulation in there, and there's too much glass. And to replace it with modern double paned glass to try to get some insulation just fucking cost you millions and millions of dollars. They were just never meant for air conditioning, those houses. But they did live in them. They were pretty.
Yeah, they just walked around with constant swamp ass. Is what happened.
Swarms of bugs and mosquitoes because they had all the damn windows and doors open, candles and shit. And they got inside the damn canopy bed to keep the mosquitoes out. They'd be in there cracking like crazy, man. Fuck it. Inside that damn thing. Stinking and shit.
Yuck.
Sweat.
Man, you know what? I don't even like getting out of the shower in the air conditioning and getting kind of like, and having like wet hair and like then like making the back of my neck damp. Yeah. Even that makes me uncomfortable, and I'm in the air conditioning. There
was no bathrooms in the house. It was an outhouse.
And you had chamber pots.
Yeah. So you didn't want that in the house. And a lot of times there weren't kitchens in the houses. The kitchen was kind of like a remote thing. You know what I mean? Usually it was just kind of like cooking outside. It just had a roof, and with like a cooking station. At least in the South, because you don't need walls if you're just going to cook. You just need a roof. But you couldn't cook in the house. You just fucking heat it up. So food preparation was outside. So it was bathroom. Then you brought it in. Or you ate it outside. Southerners ate outside when I was a little kid. It was just fucking...
It's like, might as well. We're already eating bugs anyway. Because they're everywhere.
Fried chicken and watermelon and fucking perch and bluegill and brim and deep frying everything and fried okra, making the shit outside. It's like a picnic. Yeah.
Somebody said... Adriana said, I hope you guys are all right after the hurricane. Yeah. We came through just fine. Power was out and water was out for a little less than a day, but we got it back last night, and no damage, no nothing. We didn't even have any flooding on our street or anything. A lot of streets did flood, but ours did not. Somebody, Camp Guy said they make an air gun called a bug assault, and you put table salt in it and pump it up and shoots the salt like a shotgun blast. Fun with flies. It's more of a novelty item.
Yeah,
bug assault.
I remember that. That's been around for a long time.
I don't think I've ever seen one. Like, I've heard of it, but I don't think I've ever seen one.
Pump shotgun.
Yeah.
Pow. You get them for shooting flies.
I can imagine some dude at like some sweaty like wife beater, like with a grizzled old white beard, just sitting there going, "You're fired."
Yeah, that's some other southern shit that killing bugs. That's some other southern shit that I'd see. I remember when I was a little kid, you'd see these old dudes want to show up to a diner with a fucking fly swatter sticking out.
Yeah, that's what I was...
Remember that shit?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Motherfucker's got a fly swatter in his back pocket in a diner, fucking swatting flies and throwing them on the fucking floor and shit. Like that
So
gross-ass motherfucker.
It's so gross.
Fucking gross. Killing the fucking flies and shit on the table he's eating on.
Yeah. It's like,
that was some old. They were older than boomers. They were like my grandparents' age.
Yeah,
I remember those people.
Well, my grandparents
walking around with a damn fly swatter.
My grandparents had a fly swatter in the house.
I remember
mostly the kids got spanked with it if they were bad, but
I remember the fucking cracker ass motherfuckers walking around with the damn fly swatter in public.
Yeah, I've seen that a few times.
Going into the truck stop.
Yeah.
To eat and swatting flies when he sees them.
Yeah.
Just like. What the fuck?
It's
Old
so
dude
nasty.
walking around with damn fly swatter.
No wonder they don't live that long. Willow says, so where is Pookie? Where is Pookie? Is she back? Is she behind the chair?
She was here a minute ago.
She was here a minute ago.
Yeah.
Like I said, she has her little pile of toys over there, and so sometimes she sits behind my chair and like, throws her little mousey around like while we're doing the show.
She arranges seems like she arranges the toys in a little area right here, and then she'll lean up against them like it's a wall of toys. She's funny. She's keeping an eye on them all, making sure they're not going anywhere.
She's like, I gotta monitor you motherfuckers. Yeah. She'll probably like wander in here at some point. Because she usually, if she knows we're in here doing the show, she'll usually come in and be like, pay attention to me. Why are you guys talking to the screen again? You know? Mm-hmm. She's gonna jump up on the sink and like, there she is. There she is. Come here, Poke. Hey. Made Daddy pick you up. What? She's like, what? She looked up here like, why is everybody looking at me? Why is everybody looking at me?
I'm old enough to when I was a kid, I saw real crackers. I'm talking about fucking like Colonel Sanders style crackers. They didn't dress exactly like that. They were old when I see them, but they were in the fucking rayon suits and shit. And those cheesy ass fucking ties, dressed up like they were gonna go to the church or something. Say, hey boy, what your name is? You know, they're like that. You know, just in fucking. It was a trip, man.
You're like, what's up,
What your name is? Yeah. Who you working for? No. You gotta go back on the other side of the tracks. Y'all kind don't belong over here. It's like that, you know. We don't cut y'all's hair. Yeah, for really, fuck. I remember. I was old enough to remember them.
Yeah, I remember people.
They were assholes.
Yeah.
They were assholes.
They were.
They were like older than my dad. My dad thought they were assholes. He couldn't stand them. He didn't like them.
Yeah, that was like a great parents.
Yeah.
Adriana said, are the houses in Florida tall coastal houses? In my country, are they're like that?
What's a tall coastal house?
Like, you know, because I guess like there are some here that are like that, but I don't know. I kind of feel like a lot of the houses in Florida, the newer ones, are just kind of all like those sort of like Mediterranean McMansion type things. Back in the old days, they used to do these kind of like squat bungalow style houses, like back in the 50s and 60s. There's still a lot of those around, but you know, they're old. They don't really build them like that anymore. Most of the ones that we have, like our house is 2-story, but I don't know, I kind of feel like mostly they do 1-story.
You can go on YouTube, you can go on fucking Google Earth and see all of Florida. It goes across the fucking, it runs the whole gambit. Old Florida stuff is like 50s and 60s looking houses. They're short 1-story cinder block houses that today are not real air conditioned. They are air conditioned, but they're not real well air conditioned. Kind of damp, kind of musty smelling houses with kind of flattish kind of roofs on them. They were just from another era. A lot of people we know live in those.
Yeah, my grandmother had her house was like that. It was built in 1958, and it had a flat like tar paper roof. Like it didn't have shingles. The roof was flat. It was just like tar paper and then like a layer of tar on top of it.
Back in the 50s and 60s, trend cough. Back in the 50s and 60s, those were nice houses for Florida.
Yeah.
Now that's passe. You can get those cheap. You can get
Yeah, there's lots of them still around. Like, people still live in them, and you can, like... And I've seen some that have been, like, you know, that they've done up and, like, restored, and that look pretty nice, but...
They just have a hard time competing to what's on the market after all the prices of the restoration. Usually when a person restores a house like that, they're doing it because of the location. Because it's in a decent location that they want to be in that area for some reason or another. And it's, like, one of the nicer ones. And they want a house like that. Because there's some people that want those old houses.
Yeah, some people are into, like, that mid-century kind of retro. Yeah, and they have the money to kind of restore it and make it look like that, which is, you know, that's cool if that's what you want.
The problem with them is that they tend, when you see them, they tend to look moldy. Because they've been there for a long time. They're usually not in neighborhoods that have HOA, so people will spend a long time. They'll go a long time without a fresh coat of paint. And we're in a tropical environment, so mold starts growing on the outside of them because they sweat. Because they're nice and cool on the inside. It's hurricane proof. They're kind of solar proof. They stay cool in the inside of them, so they kind of sweat on the outside, and mold grows on them.
Yeah. Plus, you get termites also if there's any wood in there.
Yeah, if there's any wood in there.
Because we had that happen in our house in Daytona, which was built in the 60s, 63, 64, something like that. And it was mostly concrete block, but it had, like, wooden framing, like, around some of the doors and stuff like that. And, like, the termites ate, like, one of that, so I had to come in.
This house that we're in is a 2-story house. I guess it's 4 bedrooms. Yeah.
I think technically...
Is it 4?
I think technically it's 5 bedrooms.
Is it technically 5? Okay.
Because this is a bedroom, that's a bedroom, that's a bedroom, and then there's a bedroom downstairs.
It's 2 stories. We have HOA here, but it's not an enclosed community. It may be one day. It's set up to where they could put guard gates on.
But yeah, there's not a guard gate.
But they're not there yet. If the area gets more populated over time, that'll probably happen. They tend to do that
because they're still building in this neighborhood.
I got this one for $475. In California, this would probably be a $2 or $3 million house at least. In Florida, it's not worth that much. You can get a really good deal in Florida. At least, I don't know, maybe right now you may not. A lot of people are moving here. But at the time that I got this, you could get... And this was not one of the choice houses, really. It was just a good deal on a big one. It was newer. This house is about, what, 10, 15 years old? 10 something?
I think it's 10 years old. 10 or 11 years old, which is a little bit newer than the house that we lived in before.
And it's not perfect, you know what I mean? It's the layout's a little crazy, which is one of the reasons why the price wasn't that bad, and the brokers were able to get me the money to get it, because this house at the time that I bought it had been on the market, or would have been on the market for a long time, because the landlord owns another one just a couple houses down, and it's been vacant for more than 2 years.
Yeah, he had been renting this one out.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, I mean, like you said, the layout is a little weird, but, I mean, it's not bad, it's just weird.
Proportions are strange in the rooms, but it's okay, it's just...
Yeah, but it is very large, there's a lot of room.
Yeah. These houses were they're kind of like McMansions. They were thrown together out of a catalog. The person, whatever company was going to build a couple houses in one of these developments would go, yeah, give me a Model A, do this and that. Over here I want a Model C, get rid of this and that. And so the real estate developers are just picking shit out of a catalog to have the house built. The people that picked it out of the catalog never intended to live in it themselves. So they're just, they don't care. They just kind of throw it together. You run into little things like the fixtures, like drains and like the drains in the sinks, and the faucets may not be super high quality. You might have to replace those. They start wearing out after 7-8 years.
Well, I kind of feel like that's true in any kind of like developed neighborhood like this, where they always just kind of, unless you pay for the upgrades, they're gonna put like the bottom of the barrel, just the cheapest fixtures and stuff.
It's time for a lot of this shit to be replaced. So as it breaks, you replace it with something nicer than that was in there before, depending on if you have the money at the time. But usually it's not really that much. It's like the difference between $20 and $40. You know, for the extra $20, you get fucking some fancy shit. You know,
Fancy shit.
Yeah.
Charlie Huck says, hi from Argentina. Really
yeah.
love the show.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much. Tammy said, like the Golden Girl house. Yeah, like the house on the Golden Girls. Like, because, yeah, that was set in Florida. So that's kind of what a lot of the older, that's what the older Florida houses look like. Zach says, the neighborhood I grew up in was so weird. One developer came in building McMansions. They ran out of money.
Yeah.
Another came in making smaller houses. Then they ran out. Then a third developer came in and finished with little ranch houses.
Yeah.
So it's like they're just getting smaller and smaller, like, as it goes in.
Mansions are losing games. You don't want a mansion.
Yeah, we were talking about that before, where it's like, it's a cool idea. I like the idea of having, like, something that looks like Dracula's castle. Like, that would be super rad. But I don't know. I kind of feel like in practice it would just be like a giant pain in the ass. You know?
You can go online and look at those urban exploration videos of abandoned newer mansions and shit that was built. You know, like you'll see a mansion that's only 8 years old and nobody's been in there for 4 years. And so they only lived in it for 4 years and it's sit there for another 4 years vacant. And you're like, well, how the hell could that be vacant? And you'll see in the comment sections contractors that build that kind of shit. Sometimes it's the actual contractor that built it. You go, oh yeah, I worked in that one. You know, I did this and that. Usually with the mansions, it's guys that have a bunch of money, of course. Some of it's new money. They've just kind of stumbled into some money. Maybe it's kind of ill-gotten gains. And they think to themselves, I'll buy this big-ass mansion and I'll be popular. Everybody will love it. So they buy this big-ass mansion. They pick it all out. They build this mansion. They don't buy them. They build them. If you have enough money for a mansion, you have enough money to build a mansion, to spec. So they pick it all out of a catalog. Yeah, I want a casino up here. I want a bowling alley down at the bottom next to the pool. I want a bar there. I want the fucking bowling machine. I want slides that go from the top stairs to the bottom, you know what I mean, when over watching the pool and all this shit that seems like really cool. You know, when you see it, you're like, yeah, that'd be fucking cool. And when the thing's done, and they even buy all the furniture out of the catalog, when the thing's done, it looks kind of like a soulless hotel. And it doesn't look like anybody lives in it. So then you find out that he's in there, and who's he going to invite to come over to this hotel? His trashy ass friends? His trashy ass friends come over and fuck up his mansion. And he goes, I'm not going to have any of my trashy friends over anymore. I'm going to have my rich friends over.
My classy ass friends.
Have my classy ass friends. So they go to the
trashy ass and your classy ass.
Yeah, and he goes, my classy ass friends will respect my mansion because they got mansions of their own. So he fucking throws a party. Come on over to my mansion, you know, and then nobody shows up because they got mansions of their own. They don't give a fuck about your mansion. They're sick of mansions, all right? So then that dude's in that mansion, and he ends up living in a tiny apartment inside that mansion. Because it's not really normal for you to fucking be comfortable in these big open spaces. So when he's not in that running a mansion and keeping it open, it's kind of like running a business. You need a butler to fucking do shipping and processing and in shipping and out shipping and running a staff and making sure that fucking all the floors are being buffed and fucking the carpet cleaning machine. You need a big ass carpet cleaning machine to clean all the carpets and to keep it's like running a business. So you're spending a lot of money to run this. You get sick of that. So what they do is they end up shutting the mansion down and living in a little tiny apartment. And then they have all this money, and when they have to have fun, they're not having fun in the mansion. They're having fun jumping on jets and going to fucking clubs and hotels all over the world, like in Barbados and bullshit like that. So the mansion's useless, actually, to the rich person. And then he finds out having a mansion isn't all that big of a deal because he starts meeting people that have 7 or 8 of those things. And they're kind of like, they use them as private hotels. They're partying in this jet set fucking scene. And then when they want to go run off with the girlfriend, they go to one of the mansions. They're there for a couple weeks and then they leave. So, and then when the money runs out or they get sick of the mansion, they demolish the mansion, or they just abandon it sometimes and put the property up for sale. They never resell the mansion. The mansion's not worth anything. Only the property's worth something. Because a rich person that can afford that fucking property that has a mansion on it has enough money to build their own mansion to their own specs on it. So he buys the property and has the old mansion torn down, and he builds a brand new one on top of it. So mansions are not an investment. They're a consumable. Not a new mansion. And not even an old one. There's a lot of Victorian style looking mansions from the 1800s made out of brick. They look beautiful. But they don't live in them. They're almost you can't live in them. They're not really good for central heating and air, and they're not modern, and they're not convenient to live in. They might look good on the outside, but when you go on the inside, it looks very dated. And they're not as valuable as people think they are.
Adriana said, do you guys have a pool? We do not. And actually, our old house, we didn't have a pool at the old house either. The community had a pool.
Yeah.
This community doesn't have a pool, I don't think, does it?
I don't know.
I don't think so. It has like a little tennis court.
It has a lake.
And a little park. But yeah, it has a lake that you can like go on the boat, and you can swim in there if you want. I wouldn't, but you know.
You can fish in there.
You can fish in there and shit like that.
Yeah, rowboats and shit.
Yeah, and do boats, but yeah, I don't think there's a pool in this one. But yeah, I mean, we have room back there if we wanted one, but
I don't put a pool.
Yeah, it would probably be too much trouble.
It costs a lot of money, and then you have to upkeep the pool. And
that's what I mean. I like them, but I don't really like all the work involved.
Yeah, everybody I know that owns one gets sick of them after a couple years. They're a fucking lot of money to keep running properly.
It's one of those things, because like I said, we were talking about that the other day, where I kind of feel like if you come into like a lot of money, and you're just kind of like, ooh, I want this, that, and the other thing. And, like, a lot of it seems like a cool idea.
Yeah.
And then, like, you might use it, like, a few times. But then after that, like, I just feel like it's more trouble than it's worth.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Spending $600 a month fucking keeping the pool up. Or some stupid shit like that. $300. Depending on how big the pool is, you know.
And Willis says, nowadays, kind of tiny houses are popular. Yeah, I do kind of feel like there's more, like, a downsizing. I guess people are kind of more realizing that you don't need...
You don't need all that space.
A bunch of space that you're not going to use. It's just kind of going to sit there and go to waste.
Depends on what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the person. It depends on... I mean, obviously, some people, need more space than others, but,
They got guys that have to have badass garages because they're always in there building cars or motorcycles.
Which, like I said, if you have a hobby that takes up a lot of room, then yeah. Camp Guy said, if I ever get a new house, I'm going to have a garage-type building where I can put my man cave stuff. Yeah. Full commercial kitchen, big 3-tub restaurant sink, commercial dishwasher, and cooking equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, but that's kind of like... I consider that kind of like it's a hobby, yeah, but that's kind of more practical because it's like food.
In Mississippi, guys had those, they would call them fish camps, where they would buy a property around a lake, and they'd all chip in, and they'd build a fucking house out there that had all that kind of stuff, man cave stuff. You could process fish and duck, and it had all the equipment for fixing vehicles and boats and motorcycles and fucking cleaning fish and deer, and it had all that shit. And it had rec rooms, and they would chip in like 6-7 guys to have this shit built. Then as I got older, I realized that what they were really doing is that's where they were taking their girlfriends. That's what it really was.
She's like, ooh, take me to the stinky fish house.
No, they rarely ever used it for the sneaky house. It was more like the love motel. That's what they were really doing with the shit.
Zach said, we had people over to my parents' house so rarely that Mom eventually walled off the dining room and turned it into my dad's office. That's another thing, too. I kind of feel like that was kind of more like a previous generation thing, where a lot of times your house, and this is maybe going back to like the Victorian era or earlier, where a lot of your house was for like public, that was where like the people, would come over to visit you, and that there were public areas of your house, you know what I mean? Yeah. You kind of had to set it up for those people. But I don't know, I kind of feel like now you don't really fucking need that shit anymore, because most people don't have people over all the time.
They don't, yeah.
Brian Hacketlecker. Hi, Tom and Jenny. Brian's here.
What's up, Hack?
Well, hey. Camp Guy said, large central pool with clubhouse for the whole neighborhood is the way to go. Yeah, that really seemed to be... Yeah, that's what we had at the old place. It was like a clubhouse, and I wish they'd had a gym, too, but they didn't. some of the where I used to live, like I used to live before we moved in together. I lived in an apartment, and that place had a little bitty gym and a nice big pool, and I used to use that all the time. But it's nice because you can use it and not like have to worry about taking care of it.
The old place we lived, it had a real nice one. Had a real nice pool. Had a damn jacuzzi. It had a clubhouse there. Fucking super nice, fucking like bathroom / changing rooms. And I'd go down there during the day, get some sun, and never would see anybody else out. I'd be the only person there.
Yeah, because if you go on a weekday, like everybody's at work or school. Yeah. So, there's hardly anybody there at the pool.
It looked just like porn. A lot of that fucking those porn scenes out at the pool. It's happening here in Florida, and that's just a real generic.
Tom compares everything.
Everything's to porn. Yeah, that's just very generic, and that's how the pools look in Florida. And in the background, you'll see the same houses and the palm trees and shit. This is like that here.
Brian says, "You guys all okay from the hurricane?" Yeah, we actually came out good. We didn't have any damage, nothing like that. Yeah, the only thing that happened was power and water went out for a day.
Yeah,
like less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
Less than a day.
12 hours.
Yeah, something like that. So it was a tiny bit of a pain.
It was nice and cool outside, so I could have slept through the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, probably. Except it was, like I said, it was really, really noisy.
Yeah.
That was the only thing. I had to put earplugs in because the wind was so loud that I couldn't sleep. Yeah, Tammy said, my grandmother had a good living room only used for holidays and company. Same with the dining room. Yeah, we had my grandmother's house had that too. She had a small house where, I mean, as we got older and started like using that room, but when we were like little kids, there was kind of like the front room, which actually had been a porch originally, like a big porch, but they closed it in like before I was born and turned it into kind of like, I don't even think they called it. Yeah, I guess they still call it the living room, but like the front room or whatever.
It's funny because...
And you could go in there and hang out, but then there was another living room that was like the fancy living room.
Yeah,
and you weren't really supposed to like go in there.
Funny.
You weren't really supposed to sit on the couch or anything.
This is the funny shit about that. Because my grandmother on my dad's side was just like that too. These are fucking working class houses out in the South. They're not impressive on the inside or outside, but they had... Old ladies had the fucking living room walled off like for the Queen, in case the Queen shows up.
Yeah, you never know.
What the fuck? And then nobody ever showed up. They never really fucking used it. As she got older, she realized that was ridiculous, and then she started to fucking use it.
Yeah, that's what happened at ours. It's like we would use it on Christmas and stuff. Like that's where she put the tree, and everybody would come over.
Right.
But
because even old people realized, I think, that they were lied to, that nobody wants to come visit them. And if they do come to visit them, they're not going to be impressed by anything that's in that house. I went back to my aunt's house, and it was fucking untouched from the last time I saw it in the fucking mid-'90s. And it was nothing like I remembered it. It was exactly the same it was. It was exactly the same, but it was basically untouched by time. It was like a time capsule. And it was really kind of weird. You're like, this is fucking unchanged, basically. There's nothing wrong with it, but it was just how dated it was. It was like dated and irrelevant, It was like from another era. And they still fucking love it, what I mean? But it's just kind of funny. But she's not going to get any guests. I don't think, the Queen is not going to come over. And anybody that comes visit her is somebody she knows. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and it's like,
what's the point?
If you're friends with them, they shouldn't judge you.
Yeah, well, they're in there all the time.
Like if they're in there all the time. If I'm going to my friend's house, like the only thing I'm going to judge is if the shit's like filthy. You know what I mean? Like then I might say something about it, like if they haven't cleaned the bathroom or something like that.
There was just.
But other than that, I'm just kind of like whatever. I don't even care if it's cluttered or if you got like.
There were some
cat toys around the floor or whatever, because we have that.
There was something about certain boomers and above. They thought that there had to be some kind of a formal room in the house, like in case the president showed up or something.
Well, like I said, that's kind of like an old school. That was like back in the old days, like the Victorians. You would have like the parlor where you would like receive everybody.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was kind of like more. I mean, it was probably bullshit back then too, mostly.
I'm sure it was.
But I kind of feel like people did go on more social calls back then because there wasn't anything else to do. Yeah. Once the TV came along and like everything like that, like nobody's gonna bother just like entertaining themselves by going and hanging out at your house no more. So
That's like the scam of silverware. Silverware companies would invent whole new menus and whole new things to come out with a new kind of fork so they could sell you that. And then you had to fucking sell off all your silverware to get this new set that had like new oyster forks and shit like that. And if you didn't have that, then you just weren't proper. And this is just kind of a fucking lower middle class person buying all this shit. These fucking huge silverware sets.
Yeah, because they got to be fancy.
Yeah, and they're writing up all these etiquette books to include more silverware. It was a fucking scam. You just got people that believe in that there has to be 5 different kinds of fork. You know, it's a scam. A fork is a fucking fork.
I'm like, can I stick my food and get it into my mouth? Then that's fine. That's the only one.
The size of the tines, the size of the tines don't mean anything.
It's weird though, because it's like I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I think I'm sure, but it's like, yeah, even your standard Walmart silverware sets that you just buy, whatever, have the 2 sizes of forks, like the long tines and the short tines. Yeah. And it's like, what is one of those? Like a dessert fork or a salad fork? Or
yeah, one's a salad.
Is one a salad fork? Which one though?
I don't know.
I always use the long tine ones.
Yeah, that's
I don't give a shit.
The short one doesn't make any.
That's what I mean.
It's there to sell you more stuff. It's not. It makes no difference. The long tine one is the one that you get in a restaurant. Yeah.
That's all you need, really.
That's all you need.
I mean,
you don't need a short one.
No. I don't really see the point of the short one.
To sell you more fucking silverware.
Well, yeah.
That's all.
But like I said, you don't really have much choice because it just comes. The set comes with that.
Yep.
You know, and I'm like, I don't really need that. Yeah, cake fork, soup fork, soup fork.
Soup fork.
Sporks.
Yeah.
Zach says, did the bathroom also have fancy soaps that were for guests only?
Yeah,
fancy soaps.
Fancy soaps that no one ever used.
That looked like shells.
Shells and fucking snails and fucking butterflies and stupid shit like that. It's fancy soap, and she paid 75 cents for it.
And then the towels. And then, well, the thing is, if you had guests, and the guests used that bathroom, they'd be like, "Oh, I can't use that."
Fancy soap. It's just stupid.
So it's like nobody uses it. It just sits there for years and years. Well, because it's the same thing. Like, I've been to people's houses where I legit thought that. Like, I went in the guest room and I was like, the guest bathroom, and it's like they had all this really nice like shaped soaps that was all went with the theme and everything, and then they had like little themed hand towels, and I was like, well, they look so pretty. I don't want to use it. So it's like that nobody's gonna use it. Nobody's gonna use it.
And people were fucking cracked. It was just industry trying to sell fucking consumer products to people, you know. And I remember back in the days, just the crazy shit people would buy. Just they'd buy some crazy ass trinkets, like that was gonna do something for you, you know. Like the very early computers, little Tandy computers and shit that you could get from Radio Shack. The micro computer was like this big. You couldn't do anything with that. Nothing. And you spend $100 on that. And it had like a tape deck drive and didn't come with any software. And when it did come with some software, it was like some kind of accounting program that barely worked. You could do that on a fucking piece of paper with a pencil. You know? There's just all kinds of crazy. Today, people say computers, you know, you got that fucking cell phone, that's a bad motherfucker, okay? The Emperor of Rome would have fucking been, you know, impressed with hell, you know, just impressed to shit with that thing. It'd be the most powerful thing he'd ever seen.
And everybody's got one.
And everybody's got one now.
Pretty much.
But back in the day when computers first arrived, there was no software for them, so you really couldn't do anything with them. They didn't seem... I wouldn't think that was going to go anywhere until I saw... an Apple IIe computer, and that fucking I saw the video games on Apple IIe, and it was far better than the Atari 2600 at the time. And I was like, yeah, that computer though, you know, there's something to that. They were playing Wizardry and shit on there, Wizardry 2. Apple IIe.
I remember.
I was fantasizing about an Apple IIe.
I remember using those at school.
Yeah,
like when I was a little.
Yeah,
kid.
I was like. That was the first computer you could actually use.
Yeah. I must have been 8
when
we started using that.
After that, they were fucking useless to the average person.
Zach says, oh my god, my mom and my aunt almost went to court over a China set. My grandma left one of them in her will that I'm pretty sure came from a catalog.
Yeah.
It's really sad to me, like how... Because this same thing kind of happened when my grandmother died.
Yeah, all the shit you throw away.
No, that wasn't what I was
okay.
going to say.
All right.
What I was going to say, if you'd let me finish, was that suddenly all of the relatives come out of the woodwork wanting this, that, and the other thing.
Oh, okay.
Which,
Fight everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just kind of like, man, that's not cool.
They want her shit.
Yeah.
They
just descend like vultures, and it's like I was really, really disillusioned by that whole situation.
When my grandmother kicked the bucket, she had a whole bunch of those damn collector's plates that she was convinced were worth something. Remember
those? The infomercials.
The infomercials told her.
Were they Gone with the Wind?
Oh yeah, that was one of them. There was a bunch of them. One of them was Gone with the Wind.
I remember the Gone with the Wind.
She had a shit ton of these damn collector's plates. They came with a certificate of authenticity and everything. Okay. She died. Those motherfuckers, they went all into the garbage can.
I kind of feel like that's mostly what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they
it's
just went
just
directly into the garbage can. And they were like, fucking, this old lady's fucking prized possessions and shit.
I mean, the thing about it is, like, if you want to spend your money on whatever you want, and if you want them on your wall and they make you happy, then that's fine. Yeah. But, like, just don't expect them to be worth anything or, like, collectors or anything like that. I don't really... That's the only thing. Like I said, if you just like them and want to look at them every day, then that's fine. Yeah, my dad was like, aren't those supposed to be worth a bunch of money? And I went, no. No. The only person that would pay anything for those would be an old lady, and those old ladies are all dying off. So I mean, shit, you can go to, like, every Goodwill in America, and there's, like, everywhere. Stacks of them. This ain't worth nothing, and I said, this is what they're worth. You can get them from, like, a quarter of a piece or something. He goes, those aren't worth anything, and I said, this is what it's worth. I fucking grabbed them thing, and I threw that shit in the fucking garbage can, and he laughed as he started throwing them off, taking them off the wall and throwing them away. He says, don't put that in there. Because it became his house. So it started to get decorated like a guy lived there, So, which... I might inherit that house when he goes, but what am I going to do with that? I want to live out there. It's out in the middle of fucking nowhere. By rights, it goes to Krista next, but I don't think she wants it. Well, yeah, like you said, what are you going to do with it out there? It's not like you could eat. I don't even think any of my cousins want it. That's what I mean. Even if you got it, like, and you could sell it, like, who would buy it? I don't even think you can sell it. That's what I'm saying. It probably needs $10,000 worth of work. That's what I'm saying. And it's out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, so it's out in the middle of nowhere. I don't really know why anybody would want it. The roof has got to be leaking somewhere, as old as that house is. I wouldn't live out there. There's nothing out there. That's what I'm saying. I'd be depressed as shit living out there. Mm-hmm. Gramthars said, pet rock, the epitome of something to waste money on. Yeah. Although I have to say I admire the guy that invented that he got all those people to, like, pay all that money for essentially a rock. So, good for him. The collector plate things was just something old ladies would buy, and they'd look at them and fucking feel like they had something. So I guess they were kind of like little emotional things, which I guess a lot of people do that kind of stuff. Well, that's what I mean. Like, I got all kind of, like, fun little monsters and stuff like that back there. I just like them. They make me happy. I don't think that that's all it was. I don't think they're going to be, like, worth anything. Oh, she thought they were worth something. See, that's what I mean. She thought they were worth something. I just get them because I like them. I was looking at them things, you know what I mean? Fucking, back when I smoked, I'd sit there fucking smoking like that, looking at the fucking thing plate she's looking at. She goes, oh, yeah, this is a rare one. There was only 1,000 made. And I'm looking at that thing, and I'm going, you'd never be able to get a buyer for that, so that ain't shit. I didn't tell her that, though. Ben says Franklin Mint got sued in Australia. Franklin Mint, that's what it was. Yeah, I know. That's what he's saying. Yeah. Got sued in Australia for their limited edition plates, which were limited to a certain number of firing days. Yeah. So if they needed more, they could just whip up another batch. Yeah. They were that's what I mean. How many were needed? Right. That's what I'm saying. So they can always just kind of like, limited, like we only did this many, which, no. No, and I bet you if you looked up values of any of those, I bet you couldn't even find the values because there isn't any. That was some kind of scam. Bethina said, hey, y'all, in North Carolina, getting ready to build a fucking ark. It's raining and blowing. Yeah, you getting the next next wave of that shit. Yeah. So, good luck, man. That was fucking shitty. Like I said, it had mostly weakened by the time it got to us, but it was still pretty bad. And then, like, it went back in the ocean and, like, strengthened back up again. So now it's, like, going to kick the ass of, like... Is it out there again? Yeah. Okay. No. Well, yeah, as soon as it went back out into the Atlantic, it strengthened back up to a hurricane again because it was over the water. But it's not changing direction, is it? It's not going to come back, is it? You gotta watch, because we've had ones do that before.
Yeah.
Like, we've had one, I can't remember what year it was. Was that before you came here? Maybe. But we had one that, like, went through the middle of Florida, and they were like, shoo, that's gone. And then it fucking turned around and came back.
Yeah. Somebody do me a...
Jeez.
I know, I'm not sick either. It's the shit that I'm on. Somebody do me a favor and go look at Franklin Mint and Google that shit and see if Franklin Mint plates are worth anything. I bet you they're not.
Yeah, Ben said look at him on eBay.
Yeah. He's on eBay looking at him?
Well, no, it said somebody should go look at him on eBay.
I bet you there's nothing
I mean,
there.
I'd be curious, like, to see if any of them were worth anything, but I highly doubt it.
I remember even at the tender age of 16, 17, watching them damn Franklin Mint commercials, starting to smell bullshit. Going like, if that shit is if that shit is so rare and valuable and collectible, what the fuck is it doing? You know what I mean? In a TV commercial, sandwiched in between these fucking soap operas. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I was like, no.
Well, and it was always, and I think it was also the Franklin Mint that had all those like commemorative coins and all that kind of stuff.
Junk.
And they always like talked about how fucking valuable they were, and I'm just like, well, how valuable can they be if you're selling them on like an infomercial?
Yeah, I've never seen anything that was worth anything sold on a damn infomercial.
No.
It's always some kind of fake trinket type thing,
or some like weird gadget.
Yeah, it cuts tomatoes. You know, the pedophore. Remember that shit? The pedophore, the salad pedophore, the fucking.
What a pedophore is, like a little cake like that.
Yeah, remember? Yeah, what was? Didn't they call it a pedophore?
I have no idea.
I
have no idea what you're talking about.
It was a tool. You could put it. You guys might correct me. It was a long time ago. I was a little kid. It was a tool that you could put on a vegetable and do like this. It had a wire and it would cut it into
like a
flower.
Curlicue. Yeah.
Into like a rose. Or something.
I remember what you're talking about, but I don't remember what that was.
I thought it was called a something or other, a pedophore something or other.
I don't. Maybe it was, but I don't remember what it was called.
It was fucking. They were.
So you could make like a fancy curly salad with flowers.
Yeah. That's. I just have a very vague memory of it. And they were doing that to tomatoes and carrots and hard-boiled eggs and pickles and shit. Making fancy pickles.
The crazy thing though is that the as seen on TV, kind of thing, is still going strong. Like I've been in malls recently that had a whole as seen on TV store. And actually one of my graphic designer clients, his whole business is those. Yeah. Like he has like these as seen on TV things, and my job is to like take some of the shit that you see on as seen on TV stuff, and like they basically buy the product from like the same manufacturer, but then you can like name it yourself, you can have your own box design, you can have your own packaging and your own kind of like advertising campaign, but it's all like the same thing, you know what I mean? So he'll like send me a thing and it's like, hey, this is like, you know, that thing that boils the eggs in the little silicone deal, whatever, or the little baked potato jackets that you put in the microwave or whatever. And it's like, you know, they're selling one called Potato Coat or whatever the fuck the name is. I don't know what it is. But he's like, but I'm calling mine the whatever. And he's like, here's pictures of it, and here's like, and they want a new box design.
Looks like Sly wants to show up out of the blue. How you been, Sly?
Said, love your red hair, Jenny. Thank you very much. Ben said, but they had the official authorized Museum of the American Indian and the official Institute of the Old West, and etc. Yeah.
Adriana was saying that they're worth between $800 and $70. I guarantee you, fucking, they're not getting.
No,
$7.99,
$7.99 to $77.
Oh, to $77. Okay, so they're not worth anything.
So I'm guessing I would depend. Gramthar says Gramthar knows a married couple with no kids who covered their walls with Winnie the Pooh and Disney ornamental plates. Just a bit weird. Well, there is that whole subculture known as Disney adults that are just really like into Disney stuff, which, like I said, everybody's into their own thing. I don't care. They're not hurting anybody.
I guarantee you Franklin Mint plate ain't worth shit. And most of them are probably super common. And then there's no buyers. That's a problem. There are comic books out there that are appraised in millions of dollars, but you'll never get a buyer. You know, just because the fans are all dead. You know, Superman Action Comics #1 is always going to be worth a lot. You know, it's got Superman on it. First time Superman appeared, but there's a lot of other ones that were fucking #1, of something, Meteor Man or some shit like that. And at one time, worth about $1 million. But the guys that were into that are gone. They're gone now. So the younger guys don't want to buy that. If they had $1 million, they'd buy something else. So I think the Franklin Mint plates are going to be something like that.
Man.
That's right. That's a good superhero.
That was it.
What's your name? Man. Yeah,
there was a whole Mystery Science Theater sketch about
Man. That's a good one.
About weird superheroes.
Yeah.
Man was one.
Man. Yeah.
Always Smells Like Maple Man, and there was a few other ones. I can't remember what ones.
Always Smells Like Maple.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of
that dude. Always smells like fucking maple.
The pheasant plucker and the pheasant plucker's son.
Damn.
They were coming up with all kind of.
I like Man.
I do too. That was my favorite one. That's why I remembered it. Gramthars said, the Time Life books were another waste. The cowboys, the railroaders, the pioneers, the seafarers.
Yeah.
I did like the covers of those.
They were only good to read, but they weren't collectors things. My dad had some of those, but they were just good to read. The cowboy ones.
That's what I mean. We had some of them too, and it's I just thought they were pretty, and I thought they were interesting. I didn't really actually think they were worth any money or anything.
They were never intended to be collectible, I don't think. Well, maybe they were. Maybe
they had some, because I checked some out of the library, because I feel didn't they do a paranormal series? That was ghost stories and stuff, because I remember I didn't buy them obviously, but I checked them out of the library, and I remember they were actually nice quality books. They had nice covers, and they were all full color inside.
I think there was one that they did that was I think it was called Man, Myth, and the Occult or something.
Yeah.
I remember that one. That was a good one.
Yeah.
It was blue.
Yeah.
We had some.
I read some of those.
Yeah.
I said, I just got them from
when
the
you were
library.
a kid. It had spooky shit in it. Was it called Man, Myth, and the Occult? Or something like that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, I remember what you're talking about, though. And I remember seeing the commercials for it, too.
They have a whole book on voodoo and another book on fucking,
I read the voodoo one.
And they had another book on fucking Satanism and demonism.
Yeah.
And another one on ghosts.
Ben says, I think they were a piecework series where people would order them one at a time from the newsagent, and if there was enough demand, they would keep churning them out. Yeah, I kind of feel that's probably what happened. I don't know if they did a whole series, but they would just do a limited run of some, and then if they sold out, then they would keep doing them probably. I don't know. But like I said, they were... those at least had some kind of value to them, because like I said, they were books and they were interesting, and... Yeah. You could read them and shit like
plate.
that.
You're not going to get any... fuck a plate.
Pretty much. Zach said, I would go to court over a ring with our last initial in it that goes through the men on my dad's side. Black onyx and gold it's made from. That it's really pretty. I think I know. I've seen a ring kind of like that. I think I know what you're talking about. And Ben said some of the Seafarers books are really interesting. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I can't really get on anybody's case about buying books because I have a lot.
Well, that was in a time before the internet, and you could sell encyclopedias. They had people run around selling encyclopedias because there was no internet. So it was like having your own library you could refer to real quickly. And those Time Life books about the Old West and this and that, I guess they were kind of... The sales technique was they were like, well, we could sell these kind of like you sell encyclopedias. On each one will be on a certain subject for your own library. Which there was... Back in those days, I think that's probably a decent sell. You could probably sell a lot of them because they couldn't find that information online.
Yeah.
And you didn't want to go to the library all the time, so you just did that. But I remember those books were, I don't want to say they were thin, they were just very, very basic. They were easy reading. You could read through them, in a few hours, But they had a lot of photographs in them. Reference photographs, kind of like owning reference books in a certain way. They were all right, especially when you were a kid.
Yeah, I remember really liking them.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't think we owned any, but I used to get them out of the library all the time. Michael Schaefer said the invention of the CD-ROM drive killed the print encyclopedia industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember back in 1995 or 1996 when we got our first Windows computer, the desktop computer. We'd had little ones prior to that.
Yeah.
We got that CD. It might have come with the computer, the CD-ROM that had like the 1-volume encyclopedia, and we were like, "What? It's like a whole fucking encyclopedia on like one disc." You know what I mean?
And when all that
Blew
was
our
going
minds.
on, Scientology was jumping on print. Like, oh, we better fucking start printing all these damn fucking books, because they'd get the damn print technology. Then they got CD-ROM and CD technology and tried to sell CDs in an era of MP3. They're
always like a few years ahead,
always
behind.
one generation behind.
Does seem like,
because they can get that fucking technology cheap. They'd start producing it. Fucking Scientology.
well, and they know that they have kind of a captive audience.
Yes, and a slave labor force. Yeah.
Jeffy Art said the books we're talking about are Time Life's Mysteries of the Unknown.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
That's it. Yeah, I really dug those, because I really like those kind of like anthology style reference books. I still have some. I don't have any of those, but I do have some. I have one that's like Greek mythology. I have one like that's I think it was Reader's Digest, but it's like a big hardback, and it has all kind of stuff. Like it has supernatural shit, but it also has like history and like weird history and all kind of stuff. Like it's a really big compilation, and I still like that book.
I remembered that there was something like Man, Myth, and Magic.
Maybe that. Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Man, Myth, and Magic.
I think that's what it was called, because I remember it was alliterative. Like it was all started with M.
Was that the name of the series, or was that name of one of the books in the series?
I think that was the whole series, because it was Man, Myth, and Magic, and then like you said, there was. I remember the Voodoo one, because I remember reading that one, and there was one on. What the fuck? There was, they were all. God damn it. The Voodoo one is the main one I remember for whatever reason. But there was like a bunch of different ones. But Mysteries of the Unknown, I think that was more like the ghost ones. You know?
Yeah.
And then that one was kind of like the more occult stuff, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah. Michael Schaefer said they were like the print version of the show In Search Of. Exactly. Yeah. Which is why I really dug them.
And when you were a kid, they were creepy. You go get creepy pictures in them and shit.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa.
So, like I said, I kind of feel like that you get a lot more value out of that. I don't even remember how much they were, to be honest with you.
I think they were probably like $5 a copy.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think they were like $4.99 or something. Or what they would do is, they'd give you like the first one for $4.99, and then like they'd send you a new one like every month, but it would be like $14.99. You know what I mean? So it was just kind of like a subscription that you had to cancel. Kind of like the fucking. What was that thing where, God damn it. God, I can't remember anything tonight. What the fuck is the matter with me? I'm like not even drunk or anything, and I still can't remember anything. Got little, fucking, I don't know what it is. It was a storm, like, stressed me out, and I'm all fucking, my fucking brain's all addled. Columbia House. That's what I was trying to think of. Columbia House. For you youngsters, was that it was cassettes in my day, but they'd send you 10 for a penny, I think, and then later it was CDs, but they'd send you 10 for a penny, but then like every month you had to pay, I think it was $9.99, and then they'd send you could either pick one, or if you didn't pick one, which happened to me a few times, and I'm sure which happened to most people, which is how they made all their money, then they would just send you whatever the selection was. So that's how come I ended up with like a bunch of shitty CDs that I didn't want, was because I just kept like forgetting to pick a good one. And they didn't really have a lot of good ones to pick from, like if you were into like weirder music, you know, they just had like real mainstream stuff. So which fine for a couple of things, but you know, if you wanted something a little more weird, like they didn't really have anything. Yeah, Columbia Record Club. That's right. I kind of remember like the tail end of it. I remember that the vinyl one, but I kind of feel like when I was old enough to be thinking about doing it, it was cassettes. So I did actually get some, but usually I remembered like I would do it. I would cheat. Well, I think a lot of people did this, where you'd get like your 10 for a penny. And then I think they made you have like one more month, if I'm not mistaken. And then you would pick like one other good one, and then you would cancel it. So then you'd essentially get like 11 like things for, you know, $10, which not bad at all. Not bad at all. So considering that cassettes back then were fucking $10 just for one. Mark said I can hear Leonard Nimoy reading them out loud right now. I know. They were so cool. It's just like, I don't know. I have really, really fond memories of going to the library back in the day and always like looking in the spooky ghost story section. You know what I mean? And getting all those kind of books, seeing what was in there.
Let's try the beer.
Yeah. So look at this. I went down to Publix today to get some shit, and look, I found these. I don't know if they're any good. But this is Rebel hard coffee.
Pumpkin spice latte.
Pumpkin spice latte.
Coffee.
With
beer.
Malt beverage.
It's with malt beverage inside. Okay.
So it's coffee beer.
Okay.
I just saw it in Publix and it was on sale for like $5.60.
Oh, hell yeah.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's better than that beer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's real good.
Let's check it out. I just saw it while I was walking by and I was like, huh, okay.
Real nice.
$5.69, can't beat
I can
that.
slam them. Get in big trouble.
It smells good. You already might get in big trouble.
Get in big trouble.
Oh my god. That's
good.
That's delightful.
Rebel. It's called Rebel, huh?
That barely tastes alcoholic.
Gotta be careful, because that's what I thought about that Bacardi Mojito fucking.
Yeah, but you drank
drink.
like 10 of those.
Yeah, I got fucking slammed on that.
Yeah, you did. You were like fucking
yeah,
slopping all over the place. I don't know what's the alcohol? I can't fucking
it's
see
probably
this.
about like a beer.
It's too dark in here. I mean, I like that it's dark in here, but I can't fucking read shit. I don't know what it says. Yeah, that's actually really good. I'm gonna have to get those again. I just saw it while I was wandering by, and I was just kind of like, oh, okay. And why not? Why not? Make it feel like fall, because tomorrow's the 1st of October.
Yeah. Gramthars going on about old school Playboy. He's got a bunch of them back when them women were naturally beautiful, and I'm gonna call bullshit on that. A lot of them girls were not natural, and then a lot of them were airbrushed. There was a lot of photographic trickery in old school Playboy. They would do weird shit, like have the girl kind of stand a little bit sideways. They have fucking tape up on her boob, make her boob look a little bit bigger. That's one of the things. And another thing is that people forget that silicone implantation of different kinds, including silicone infusion, was around since the fucking late 40s. So it's hard to know who's natural and who isn't. If somebody impressed you, those old photographs, a lot of times they might not have been totally natural. In those days, you didn't even have to get fucking implants. They could just inject silicone right into a woman.
Well, and like I said, nowadays I don't know. Well, I was going to say they don't bother with it, but I think they still do because it just makes the Photoshop person's job easier.
Yep.
But when you're doing like an expensive photo shoot, then yeah, you're going to have all kind of tape and you're going to have like all kind of, because they're going to try and make it look as good as possible within the parameters, but they know that later on, like the Photoshop person's going to fix it.
Yeah.
So.
But even back in the 70s, they were using filters.
Yeah, I'm just saying they could do all that kind of stuff back then.
They're taking photographs of photographs. You take a photograph and you blow it up. Then you use airbrushing to change that photograph and then fucking lay that out under perfect conditions and photograph that fucking photograph. And now you got another copy of it. And it's modded. Bunch of shit that you can do that they used to do back then.
Yeah, it's not. I know people talk about like Photoshop nowadays, and it certainly is a lot easier, but they could do all kind of like trickery back then too.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's not just photographic stuff. It was stuff to do with like, you know, taping things everywhere and like fucking having them pose a certain way. Like, you know, if you stand this way, like you look skinnier and all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's the same thing with the dudes. You'd have those fucking athletic looking motherfuckers running around and go, oh man, that motherfucker, that's before steroids. No. Testosterone fucking propionate was available in 1937. You could buy it in 1937 and get it reliably. And it wasn't that expensive. And they took it. By the time the 50s were rolling around, they could get Dianabol. And really, all you had to do is ask for it. There was no... it was over the counter, you know. So they had all that.
Michael Schaefer said Penthouse used to use a lens that was a little blurry. Yeah, I do kind of feel like, well, even like
they were softening them up.
Yeah, the porn films back in the old days. Well, that's kind of the thing, and I feel like nowadays it's a little bit harder because everything's HD, so you can see everybody's fucking pores and everything like that. So everybody has to. I mean, yeah, they have like better makeup and better shit like that nowadays. They use digital filters though,
and
they use digital filters and stuff like that. But yeah, I kind of feel like back in the day, it's just kind of like, well, it's
blurry,
like, well,
make it blurry.
Yeah, we don't want anybody to see like the pimples on our ass or anything like that, so we're just gonna like blur the fucking shit out.
A lot of those girls looked rough. I mean, there was fucking drugs involved. I mean, the girls were fucking snorting cocaine and shit. A lot of them looked real hard.
Yeah. Well, isn't that like when they used to do you remember like that shop in the mall that used to do like the kind of boudoir
what do you call
photographs? What the fuck was the name of that place?
You would be talking about Glamour Shots?
Yeah, Glamour Shots. Yeah. There you go.
Glamour Shots.
That wasn't the only kind they did, but yeah. So they would always use that soft focus lens.
Yeah.
That soft
Put
focus.
Makeup on them ugly girls. Get them pretty.
And they had all those clothes that they put on you, like they put the fucking
terrible ass fucking clothes. Put a cowboy hat on a girl.
Well, I guess they had cowboy hats too. I kind of felt like that was kind of more like if you go to like a tourist area and like dress up like a cowboy or like a saloon hooker or something like that.
I've seen some crazy shit though from the.
But yeah, the ones they had there, it's like they'd usually put on a fucking like a feather boa or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Well, because remember like the Glamour Shots, because I remember there was like commercials, and I remember there being a Glamour Shots in our mall like in the 80s, and back in the 80s, glamour meant we're gonna make your hair like this big, and everything's gonna have like sequins and feathers and big shoulder pads and fucking purple eyeshadow or like blue eyeshadow on it. It's like
the terrible eyeshadow back in the day.
The one thing that they did do, and I think it was like limited time, I don't even think that many people did it, but it's like that was the only time that I actually would have considered going, was they did like an old Hollywood line. So you could go and they do your hair like the 40s, and like they would take like black and white like old school like glamour shots of you, and I was like, now see, that's a good idea. It's like, I don't want to look like have my fucking hair teased out to here with like 40 it like shining with crackling hairspray, and then like they put a top on you that was like all fucking shimmery and like that kind of crazy shit. I didn't want that, but I did like the old school glamour one they did for a while. Adriana said, Jenny, did you collect paperbacks from hell? I've seen them up to $100 on eBay each, and most of them were forgotten. I never did. I probably had some, but I think that they, are sadly lost now. If you haven't read the book, it's by Grady Hendrix, which is called Paperbacks from Hell. And he talks all about that era, like in horror, of all the, the paperback originals, of which there are a lot of them. But like a lot of them were really good, and a lot of them were forgotten about. And yeah, it's like really, and honestly, that's kind of how I ended up coming across Michael McDowell, who I ended up really liking. And I didn't hear of him back in the day, and I only heard of him like recently. And even though he's the dude that like wrote Beetlejuice and all this other kind of stuff, and he wrote like all these really, really cool like horror novels back in the 80s that were paperback originals, and then he just kind of got forgotten about until about 2014, and then Valancourt Books started putting out his stuff from back then. But there was a lot of good shit, because horror was big like in the 70s and 80s, like particularly in the wake of Stephen King and everything like that. So like there was a glut of horror in the market, and like I said, a lot of it was kind of shitty, but a lot of them were really good too. And a lot of those authors just kind of got forgotten about because they didn't get published in hardback or anything like that. It was just like little cheap paperbacks like you'd buy at the drugstore or whatever. And, just like they did with westerns and romances and all that kind of stuff. Bethina said, I had a pair of the original Dr. Scholl's shoes. Oh my god, do they still make Dr. Scholl stuff? Yeah, I guess they do. The one with the hump in the middle for your toes to hold on to. They made your legs sore, and you sounded like a $40 mare when you walked.
I don't remember that. I don't even know anything about those.
Michael Schaefer said big hair was fucking awesome. I do like big death rock hair. I do like that. Hair it is. Yeah, like and big mohawks and like kind of the big tees, like old school Susie and the Banshees hair. I like that. I don't really like the big curly thing that
the mom
they did.
Hair at the time.
Well, I don't, and the teenage girls were doing it too. Like this really, really big, like curly hair, and like you put so much spray in it that it kind of was like hard. Yeah. Like you could see like pieces of it, and it was just like hard. Yeah. I didn't like that, but even though I probably did it a few times.
Yeah, I remember all that shit.
I probably did it a few times.
That's good.
What's the matter with you?
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
Just kind of catching up with me. This is pretty good, though.
Yeah, I'm actually. This is probably like the best one that we've had of all these pumpkins, because this actually does.
It tastes like what they
tastes
say.
like a pumpkin spice latte.
Yeah, it tastes like what they claim it to be. It's because they didn't have to brew it. There's no beer in it.
Yeah.
They just add some of that damn malt liquor in there, and that shit has no flavor really. So
that's the thing. I liked the ones that we got before, but the ones before like were very beer forward.
Yeah.
And then like you could kind of taste like a little bit of coffee, pumpkin spice on the back end, whereas this definitely tastes like a pumpkin spice latte.
Yeah.
That maybe has alcohol in it.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey Sly, man, I don't know if you saw it, but a couple weeks back I did a Colt 45 taste test. All right, fucking, I was evoking the spirit of fucking Billy D. Williams, man. He was fucking with me right there, fucking right alongside me, drinking that Colt 45. I hadn't had it since the Army. I tell all kinds of barrack stories about them brothers trying to make white boys drink fucking Colt 45. That and some of those other ones, fucking bull. What was it? Fucking, what was the bull? I forgot. What was that shit called? And I got into it on a program. They were trying to revoke my white boy card for drinking that shit. But I remembered it being better than fucking Bud. I was like, I remember this being better, dollar for dollar, than that fucking piss water Budweiser. And I bought that shit and did a whole show on it. Did two separate ones of Colt 45. Colt 45 regular, and then I did Colt 45 high gravity. High gravity. Came in a classy fucking black fucking can. And they were good, man. Real good. For the price. You know, for the price they were
Yeah,
really
I
good.
didn't mind them at all.
Yeah, they were good. I could drink that. If I only had $1 something to spend on a canned beer, I'd rather take that fucking Colt 45 than fucking Budweiser any day. It was drinkable. It was an enjoyable experience. Bud, fucking piss water.
Michael Schaefer said, Tom, try the Greater Pumpkin Ale if you get a chance. It's aged in bourbon barrels, and you can just get a hint of the bourbon with the pumpkin spice.
This is Jenny's operation. I'm not real wed to this idea that something has to taste like pumpkin. You know?
I like the pumpkin spice.
That was pretty
Well,
good.
I just thought because it was fall, and I was,
Yeah.
like I said, I was at Publix getting some other stuff. I got some orange juice, and I got you some diet root beer and shit like that. Then I said, I'm going to take a little cruise down the beer aisle, because I was too lazy to go to the liquor store. So I said, I'm going to take a cruise down the beer aisle and see what they
Now they're
got
talking
down
about Mickey's Big Mouth. I remember that one. Mickey's, yeah. That was malt liquor, too.
Do they make that anymore?
Yeah, it's around. I saw it.
I saw it.
I saw it up the redneck store.
Where is that redneck store?
You know how you come out here and you head towards Publix and you go straight?
Yeah.
You go all the way down to the light and turn right.
Yeah.
Okay. No, when I make that right turn, you know JJ's, that bar is right there.
Yeah.
Next to it is the fucking redneck store.
Oh, okay.
Right there.
Oh, we've passed it before, right?
Pass it all the time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay,
Pass
I
it all
know.
the time.
I didn't realize that was the
You
one that
must
you were talking
be
about.
a card-carrying redneck to set foot in that motherfucker.
I'll pass.
And then nothing but fat girls working in there, and they're going to yell at you when you see, there he is. What you looking for?
There he is. I'm
Yeah,
like,
there he is.
yeah, here I am.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope here I am.
You looking for Colt 45 again? That kind of shit. Yeah. She's funny, old Large. Fucking, I call her Large Marge. She kind of reminds me of Large Marge. No, she was a kid. And she's fucking 20-something, maybe 30.
Large bird.
She's fucking funny.
Did she drive a truck and like
I
turn
don't
toward
know.
you and her
She's
face
just
goes all
little
fucked up?
short chick, heavy set. That must be polite, you know.
Why start now?
I'm in public. I'm in public. But that place is fucking stacked to the rafters with fucking booze of all fucking descriptions. None of it in any kind of order.
That tracks.
Yeah. You just get
It's like,
lost
fuck
in
it,
there.
we'll just like...
The aisles are 2 feet wide and it's nothing but fucking cases of shit.
Yeah, I can
You
imagine
gotta
it.
walk in there like that.
I can
Yeah.
imagine it.
Yeah.
Try not to like knock stuff off
Yeah.
with your elbows.
They got the fucking heavy bulletproof glass up in there, but there's definitely shotguns and fucking shit on the other side there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Definitely.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, though, like, we started going to that the other day,
Yeah.
and then I was like, hey, there's an ABC liquor right there. And that ABC is, like, all classy as fuck.
Yeah.
Because that's, like, in a really nice...
That's that classy store.
It's classy.
Yeah.
It's huge, that ABC.
You'll
all
lose
kind of nice stuff.
You will lose biker points if they see you in ABC.
That's okay. I'm not worried about it.
I gotta represent up in this bitch. Okay, I was down there today. I need to fucking stop by JJ's and leave my scent mark on fucking JJ's one of these days too.
What, you mean you're gonna like rub your butt on it?
I don't know what it is. Just me showing up.
He's gonna.
Just me showing up.
I just had a really funny mental image of Tom walking into there, just like rubbing his butt on the.
That's what they're doing.
Bar.
That's what they're doing. You go in there. And it's fucking. It looks like it was made in the fucking 80s. All the rooms are fucking square. Fucking the bars are just on one side, and they got fucking air hockey tables and pool tables and shit in there. Air hockey.
I like air hockey.
Air hockey. That's, I think it was air hockey. That's if my memory.
Yeah, me and my brother used to play it at Chuck E. Cheese or whatever.
Yeah. That shit was fucking biker as fuck. Biker redneck shit.
I don't know how redneck air hockey is.
I don't know. That's not the main biker redneck bar. That's up the street from fucking the Oasis. That's the central hub. Central hub
of redneckery.
Yeah, that's the bar that Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator went in Terminator 2 to go get the motorcycle. You know, the Bad at the Bone one. Mm-hmm. That's that, but cheaper looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cheaper and more authentic looking.
That's what I always imagined.
Yeah.
Well, because like I said, I grew up in Daytona Beach. I've seen many bars like that, like the Circus.
Yeah, you're gonna see fucking.
Where my friend's dad worked in there, so I was in there. Like
you're gonna see used up rockhead fucking girls in there and fucking all kinds of shit. Fucking.
I kind of feel like the shitty one in Daytona. It wasn't necessarily a redneck bar. It was more like, well, it was kind of a redneck bar because kind of everything was in Daytona back then. But it was also a strip club. Yeah. I think what was it called? The Shark Lounge.
Yeah.
The Shark Lounge. I don't remember if I ever went in. No, maybe I did. Maybe I did go in there one time. I don't remember what the situation was. I must have been with some people that were like, hey, let's go on the Shark Lounge. And I was like, whatever.
Michael said it was at the corner of Clan and Dixie Street. Hell yeah.
Probably.
Hell yeah.
Then he says, Tom with his butt on the carpet, dragging himself across the floor with his hands like a dog. Yeah. I kind of pictured him walking in and just him going up to the corner of the bar and then just like turning around and rubbing his butt against it like he was twerking. That's what I pictured.
Corner of Clan.
That's what I pictured.
It's funny that you say that.
It's funny that you say that because today you were in the bar twerking, weren't you?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's funny that you say fucking Clan and Dixie Street because I remember when I first started going there, after a while, I was going like, I guess black people don't come here. But then eventually, no, black people did show up. They were bikers though, and they fit in along with everybody else. If you got a motorcycle and you look right, you're not gonna have any fucking problem. They don't really care what race you are, as long as you're a fucking biker. I imagine if you were black and you were all right, you could probably go in there. You know what I mean? But at certain hours. See, I've never been in there on Friday and Saturday night. And they say you're not really supposed to go in there on Friday and Saturday night.
If you catch...
The place has got fucking cameras everywhere. You know what I mean? Fucking people have been fucking shot the fuck up in there, over the years.
Sounds like a blast, Tom.
They're frightened, They're gonna do what they gotta do. And a lot of it, I think, happens out in the parking lot, according to the rumors. It doesn't really happen in there. It happens out in the parking lot. They start going out there and they start fighting in there, and then they kick them out, and then they go in the parking lot, and then they continue to fight, and motherfuckers will pull guns on each other and fucking shoot the place up and shit.
Probably like the MC people like get the.
And probably not hit anything too, but it just depends.
Because they're probably all drunk as shit.
Yeah. Motherfucker, I saw you looking at her titties. That kind of shit, And then you look at the girl they're talking about, and she weighs 300 pounds. It's going to be some crazy shit like that. Dumb shit.
Well, what else is new?
Yeah. That's why I don't go down there. I don't go down there Friday, Saturday. I don't go down there. Well, we got better places to go on Friday, Saturday nights. You don't go.
Yeah, why would you waste your time going there?
Waste your time going to that shit. We're going to go to the fucking real club. You know what I mean? That shit there, no. That's weekday stuff. Or Saturday and Sunday afternoon when all the motorcycles are out. That's where you go.
Yeah.
And it's an older crowd. But weekends it's supposed to be a younger crowd, and they're dumb. Yeah, it's supposed to be pretty dumb. Those are the ones that can't get out of town, I guess. I don't know.
Jeffy Art said, I think my best friend's exorcism is now on Amazon. It is. I just saw it today, and so I'm going to watch it in the next couple days, and then I'm going to review it probably on Thursday. Because I've been wanting to see it for a really long time. It better be good, goddammit, because that book was fucking excellent. So yeah, I was thinking about it too, and I don't even remember how I thought about it today. Ooh, so I saw somebody like review, like I saw like a ad, like somebody reviewing it. I was like, ooh, is that up? And it's like, oh goody. Because I've been wanting to see that for a really long time. I love that book. Mango said, in the next week, Hobgoblin will have their pumpkin ale out for Halloween here. And Jeff Hart said, Dogfish Head has a pumpkin ale that actually tastes like pumpkin pie. I think we saw that when we were at ABC Liquor, but we didn't buy that one. Made with cinnamon and real pumpkin meal. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like I said, because the weather doesn't change that much here, so I always try to do fall things because I really like fall. It's my favorite season. And so I get real, I know it's very basic bitch, but I just really like all the pumpkin spice stuff. I'd eat pumpkin shit all year round. I don't care. But, you know, you can't really get it otherwise.
I saw Schaefer, you're right, man. Fucking that Murder Hornets fucking, I guess he wasn't here to hear what's going on. Yeah, girl, 300 pounds, but they're still titties. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, titties are titties.
They're still titties. They're motherfuckers fighting over some 300-pound girl. That's what's going to happen.
She's the only one that's around.
Yeah, only one with teeth.
Yeah, well, that too.
Yeah, the only girl with teeth, yeah.
Mark says, Blair Witch 2 is on Prime. It is unwatchably bad. You know what? I kind of have a soft spot for Blair Witch 2. I don't really know why. I haven't seen it in a really long time. But I remember seeing it when it first came out. And then, I saw it again after. I might have bought it on DVD. I don't remember.
I didn't like Blair Witch 1.
Well, like I said, I told you before, Blair Witch 2 is different.
Yeah, okay.
It's not found footage.
Okay. I might like it then. Who knows?
A lot of people hate it, but I haven't seen it in a long time, though, to be fair. But I remember liking it, being like, what? That's not bad at all. But you know what I mean.
I can remember the 90s when Blair Witch 1 came out. That was when I was with my first wife down there in Pass Christian, Mississippi. And we had a good little band of damn goth kids, you know. They were. I was not a kid. I was in my mid to late 20s, but they were. I guess I was a kid. They were younger than me, and there was something about. It was the beginnings of the internet, and we heard about the Blair Witch Project on the internet before we ever.
Yeah,
saw
it was really one of the best online campaigns. Yeah. They were way ahead of the time of their time.
And me being the wise goth was sitting here trying to analyze what I didn't really have a full grasp of what multimedia was, you know. And we thought it might be something real, something that had really happened. I remember being kind of excited about it in a certain way, like that's some creepy shit. And Melissa was thinking, no, it's based on something that really happened, you know. And,
well, yeah, that's how they market it.
Yeah, and we could talk about that shit for hours. We were fucking eating that damn or drinking fucking.
His crooked ass glasses.
Yeah, I got my crooked ass glasses. I'm gonna show y'all who I'm talking about. Well, I
said it had a great concept, I think, but it's definitely a product of its time. It's so 2000s it hurts. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I said, I haven't seen it in a long time, and I'm not a fan. Yeah, and I don't want to say this across the board because there are a lot of really good horror movies that came out in the 90s and early 2000s, but in general, I'm not a big fan of particularly the early 2000s horror movies. Like I said, a lot of good ones did come out around that time period too, so I'm not saying they all sucked, but a lot of the mainstream horror movies that came out in the late 90s and early 2000s, not really a fan of. And I was, and I watch them nowadays and I'm just like, oh my God, that's painful. Painful to watch.
Okay, that was them right there. That was them. This one here, that was my ex-wife. The little shorter one was Melissa. And me and Melissa would sit around and talk about paranormal shit over at her house. And her house was fucking awesome. It was a little fucking southern house that looked like a damn witch's shack. Jenny would love it. And she'd sit there and fucking make that fucking Indian spice chai tea. And fucking make Indian curry tuna. I'd eat her out of house and home. I'd eat all that shit. And then her sister and everything lived across the way. You know, she lived on one of those southern family compounds where all the houses were just right, you know what I mean? In a circle around each other and shit. You guys have never seen those. But, we'd sit there and talk about Art Bell and fucking that whole Blair Witch thing. And we thought it was based on something that had really happened. And I didn't know anything about it. She would tell me, like, somehow she knew more about it than I did, or she was making up more. I don't fucking know. But then we'd go online, and in those days, you needed a web TV or you needed a computer to go online. You couldn't go on with a phone. We didn't have fucking phones like you have today. You had cell phones, but you couldn't get internet on a cell phone, you know. And I remember there was a bunch of text and a whole website and everything. It was quite interesting for the time.
Well, like I said, it was super ahead of its time.
Yeah, it was way ahead of its time.
Really,
kind of spooky.
The first movie that marketed itself like that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Almost like an ARG would be now.
Yeah, ARG. That's what we're talking about. Because she was into that too, Melissa. She would bring up stuff about murder cases that had happened. And the shit would sound outlandish as fuck. And she would show me on like either web TV or whatever computer. I think she was on a web TV at that time. Of what it was that she was talking about. But looking back on it, they were AARGs. ARG?
ARG.
ARGs.
Alternate reality.
Yeah. Well, I think she actually believed them. Because they were new.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the whole point of them is that you're supposed to make them look as realistic as possible. You know what I mean?
So I think there was something about some girl who went missing in Mississippi, but it was fake, I think, once you got down to it.
Adriana said, are those redneck biker bars like the Near Dark one, where Bill Paxton and the gang massacred a lot of people? I was kind of thinking about that, too.
They kind of look like that. I'll show you what they look like. I got pictures of it.
Sly says, drinking Modelo Especial.
Oh, yeah.
Deciding on summons for jury duty this Monday. No t-shirts, no jeans, no sneakers. That sucks. What are you going to wear? Does it say, just show up naked? Mango said, Scream really killed horror in that time period. That's the thing, and I'm not shitting on Scream because I actually really like that movie, but...
Go ahead.
But I don't know. Like, everything that came in the wake of it was just like not. I don't know. I just couldn't get into it. So I don't know. I don't blame Scream. Maybe shit would have gone that way anyways. Cause I don't know. Scream was like really clever, but all the ones that came after that were like not. And then like the early 2000s, I kind of feel like it was almost all.
Yeah, that's what it looks like on the inside during the day. I'm up at the bar. I'm taking a picture of that.
It just looks like a bunch of...
you can't really see what it looks like. Yeah. And the lights are actually kind of bright in that one. This is what... Hold on. Shit. I guess. That's what it looks like from out front. She's talking about her motorcycle. I think I'll turn it back around. When you go back around the front, it'll show the club. Well, not the club, but the Oasis. When I pan back around, she's talking about all the modifications she's going to do to her little... There it is. See it behind the bike? Like that. It's got cactuses and shit painted on it. And it's just on the side of the road out in the country.
But yeah,
It's okay. And I'm showing the bikes, and then I show my bike. That's my bike right there. That's a better shot of it. Okay. Okay, done.
What I was going to say was that I thought that early 2000s in particular was kind of like really bad for remaking a lot of stuff from the 70s and also doing English language versions of Asian horror, most of which were okay but were inferior to the originals. Although I will defend The Ring as being one that I liked better than the Asian original, but most of them were... the American version of The Grudge was okay too, but I still think the Asian one was better. But I think The Ring, the American version of The Ring, was actually better than the Japanese one. So, fight me. I don't think that's that controversial an opinion. The Japanese one is good too. I thought the American one was much scarier. Let's see. Now you're making me want to watch Blair Witch 2 again, because maybe, I don't know, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I remembered kind of liking it. You know what I mean? I might have seen it in the theater, now that I'm thinking about it.
Let me go get some more. You want some more drink? Or is he still drinking that?
I'm still drinking that, but you can give me another one if you want, because this is almost...
You want another can? Or another drink?
Maybe another drink, because these are good, but they're kind of like...
Okay.
They're kind of rich.
Ouch.
I might save the other one for tomorrow. Because like I said, this does not... It doesn't taste alcoholic. It tastes almost like a dessert. Because it's like a really sweet, like, pumpkin spice latte. Mango said the House of Wax remake was dreadful. Yeah, see, it's like, it was all that kind of stuff. It just seemed like it was all of these... I don't know. It just seemed like everything was like all of these kind of like perfect 90210 Dawson's Creek motherfuckers. And it's like, let's have a movie where all of these annoying ass perfect people in their 20s are being picked off by a killer. And it's just, I don't know. They just didn't really have a lot of personality to them. And it's just, I don't know. I didn't like a lot of the shit that came out back then. Like I said, to be honest, as far as horror goes, like I said, 70s were probably my favorite decade, but lately I've seen like way more like horror movies that I liked from the past 10, 20 years than I did like in the whole of the probably 90s and 2000s, gonna say. Like after about 2008, 2009, like then the shit started getting good again. But I don't know. Late 90s to early 2000s, there were some good movies it scattered through there, but a lot of them I just didn't really like. Yeah, Guamo said, even though the 2003 Texas Chainsaw was good, it has a lot of the symptoms of it. Yeah, and I didn't actually mind that. I think I might have seen that in the theater too, and I was like, oh, that wasn't bad. It's not as good as the original, obviously, but, you know. But it wasn't terrible. It wasn't as bad as I expected. And some of the shit, too, was like that Dawn of the Dead remake. When did that come out? 2004? Was it 2004? That was actually, that was pretty damn good. I mean, I thought that was really good. Even though, like, when I was hearing about it coming out, I was like, Jesus Christ, you're really going to remake Dawn of the Dead? But then I saw it and I was like, okay, all right, I'll allow it. That was really good. Especially, like, that whole opening sequence was pretty fucking dynamite. Mago said, I have to admit I did enjoy Cherry Falls. I've been meaning to watch that because I kind of feel like a lot of people have recommended that to me as like one that was sort of like forgotten. And I don't know. So I just like saw it the other day when I was scrolling through like some of the stuff and I was like, man, I should get around to watching that. Because I kind of feel like I saw a few like in the late 90s and, you know, like I Know What You Did Last Summer and all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, I'm kind of over this whole whatever it is they're doing. So I didn't see a lot of them. I think like recently, maybe it was last February, I think we reviewed that movie Valentine, which came out I think in the 90s or early 2000s. That was okay, but it had that kind of sheen to it that I'm not like a big fan of, that early 2000s thing, you know? Mango said 70s and early 80s was some of the best times for horror. Oh yeah, I agree. What's up, Pokey? I mean, I'm not, like, averse to the idea of remakes in general. I just wish that if you're gonna remake a movie, remake something that wasn't that great to start with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they're trying to make it a cash grab, though. It'll never happen.
Well, I know that, but yeah. I'm just saying... But yeah, but there was like a lot of movies that came out in the 70s that were like okay, or were like a really good concept, but, you know, were let down by, you know, we didn't have the budget to do what we wanted, or, you know, something. take something like that and improve upon it. Don't take something, and like I said, we were talking about this the other day with Rob Zombie. I was just like, don't take something like Halloween, which is like a classic and iconic and perfect the way it is, and try to remake it. It's like you're just gonna, like, why? Why bother? There's a million zillion movies that came out in the 70s and 80s that were kind of shitty, but were like good ideas or had their moments. Get one of those and remake that. You know what I mean? It could even be one that was kind of like well known, but just wasn't all that great. I mean, look at like Chud. You could remake that. Like, it's fun. It wouldn't be the same like as the 80s one, and I know a lot of people would like, but that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, that was a good movie for the 80s, but it's like that could be done again. That concept could be done again, and you could, like, you know what I mean?
You could redo Trilogy of Terror.
Yeah, but you don't have Karen Black, though.
You have to get somebody else who's like that.
Because I kind of feel like the whole cool thing about Trilogy of Terror is that Karen Black is in all three parts of it. I mean, that and the little doll and everything.
So I was saying that little, what's it called, a Zindi doll? Was it called a Zindi doll? What was that thing called?
Is that the Zuni? I thought it was a Zuni with an N.
You could do that a lot better today.
Although I have to say, for the time and the fact that it was made for TV,
yeah, it was still good.
They did an amazingly good job with that little. And I know it was like mostly just like a puppet and like other kind of stuff like that. But I was like, man, the way they shot that was fantastic. I mean, that was fucking. Dan Curtis directed that, man. He did Burnt Offerings, for Christ's sake. It was one of my favorite movies of the 70s. I was just talking about that today because I'm putting up a video on Scare Salon tomorrow, which is, if you guys have been following my series, I've been doing my top 5 favorite horror movies from every year since I was born. So the one that I'm putting up tomorrow is 1976. So 1976, it was like really hard because I looked at the list of all the horror movies that came out in 1976, and it was hard to get it down to 5. Some years it's not as hard because like some years it's just kind of like, well, there's a lot of movies that I didn't really love or I didn't see them. You know what I mean? Or there was like a lot of like really shitty cheap ones. But then there's years like 1973 or 1976 where like a fuck ton of really good ones came out. I mean, 1976 you had Carrie, you had The Tenant, you had like all of these really good movies, and it was like really, really hard to pick. Guama says, I think 80s horror slasher sequels are important. We're never getting anything like that again. Mango says, the first half of Zombies Halloween remake is great. It really falls apart in the second half, and it really falls apart. Yeah, I think that's the problem. I kind of feel like I saw it in the theater, and I remember being averse to the idea just from in general. But I said, well, I'm going to go see it. And then at first, yeah, it was kind of like, oh, okay, this is all right. It's not that bad. But then, like, the more that he explained it, like I said, we've got into this before. Like, why the fuck do you want to demystify Michael Myers? He was just an abused kid who grew up with this. Like, don't fucking do that. It's not scary anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that the Holy Parish of Doom said exactly that. The thing with Halloween, since the killer was written to be a quasi-supernatural entity, the less you knew or saw of him out of his murderous form made it ineffective.
There's a lot of shit like that.
Zombie made him too human. That's what I mean. It's like the reason he was scary was because you didn't know, like, really anything about him, or, like, where he was just kind of, like, every now and then he'd pop out from behind the bushes, and it's just kind of like... And it's scary. You didn't know what his deal was. You didn't know what his motives were. That's scarier to me.
That's what went wrong with Terminator and Predator. Talking too much about fucking Skynet and the Terminators and too much about Predators. Letting you know too much. You're not supposed to know them very much. It's just what they show you. And they're never really supposed to reveal. You know what I mean? You demystify it, then its power is gone. That's what...
I mean,
that's
horror,
the power it holds over you.
It's really a delicate balance. If you go too far in the other direction where you, like, don't show anything, then you're going to get a bunch of people, like, that are be like, well, it didn't even show anything. Like, how the fuck am I supposed to? Which I don't agree with that necessarily, but I kind of feel like if you leave things ambiguous or you leave things to a point where you're not really showing the monster at all, then you're going to piss a lot of people off. On the other hand, if you show the monster too much or explain too much about it or something like that, then it just becomes not scary. You have to get that exactly right thing where you kind of just show enough of the monster to, like, trigger people's imaginations, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, a good example of a franchise that showed you a little bit more, but then the mystery deepened, would be The Thing. The Thing 1, you knew very little about The Thing. And then when Thing 2011 came out, which is a prequel, shows how the Norwegians found the saucer. They even show you inside the saucer. But the mystery fucking increased. Because that thing was so different, you just couldn't understand it. I mean, they found, I guess, the control room where the computers were, and all it was just a bunch of damn cubes, and cubes stacking on top of one each other and vanishing and reappearing. Like, I don't know if the cubes were really there or if it was a damn hologram, but they're looking at it like, what the fuck is that? And it's just something that only an alien would understand. And that was beautiful. That was beautiful. Don't fucking demystify it. Increase the mystery. You know?
Because that's going to make people talk about it.
Yeah.
And come up with theories.
Right.
Especially nowadays.
Something as bizarre, an alien as bizarre as The Thing, whatever controls it had controlling that ship, you wouldn't be able to make headers and tails out of them. And that's what they showed. That's what they showed. A bunch of gray cubes of different fucking hues just appearing and disappearing and stacking and unstacking and flowing over, and just like, fuck is that? That's alien graphics. That's the ship. That's the ship's main computer. And I thought that was beautiful. Great. Fantastic. That's how you do it. The mystery deepens. It's so alien you can't even fucking understand the control surfaces. You know?
Well, and like I said, that's probably what it would be like in real life.
Yeah.
So.
Right. You think you're going to go into an alien ship, there's going to be chairs? You know, and buttons to push?
Aliens don't have butts.
Yeah. You probably know what it is. It's going to be something you can't comprehend. Or something you can't see, maybe, because they may not be using eyes.
Zach says, the movie with Ana de Armas as Marilyn Monroe is out now, and it seems to be really surreal and kind of horror-like. Yeah, I've been hearing some really interesting things about that, and I kind of want to see it, because I love Ana de Armas. So I kind of feel like I'll get around to watching it. Guama said, the editing is unreal. It's so good. It's so surreal and a trip. See, now you guys are making me want to watch it. God damn, Tom. Mango says, that's what made the original Friday the 13th so great. You never found out who the killer was till the last 5 minutes. Yeah, I'm more of a fan of, like, ambiguity. Like, not... Like I said, this is what I meant when I said, you know, that's it's a delicate balance. You can't just come in there and be like, weird shit, and then bye, you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't mean anything, or that, you know, doesn't suggest anything. You do kind of have to have an idea behind it, a concept behind it. Yeah. But within those parameters, I think it's better to leave as much stuff unexplained as possible. Just give people enough information so they can come to their own conclusions and, you know, come up with their own theories. And I think that's, like, way, way better. That's way better. Holy Parish of Doom says, the original Friday the 13th is solid. That one, Black Christmas, and Halloween are really the only slasher flicks I dig. Yeah, all of those are good. And honestly...
I don't know, I gotta tell you, I think part 2 is better than part 1.
What, Friday the 13th part 2? I slightly like Friday the 13th 2 better than part 1 as well. I like part 1, but I think part 2 I like.
And I didn't think 3 in 3D was all that bad either. Yeah, it had some cheesy scenes in it.
I still don't like 3.
What?
I still don't like 3, not that.
I kind of liked it.
The second one's my favorite one.
Yeah, I think so. Because that's the one with Jason. And then you find the mom's head.
Yeah.
And that was fucking awesome with the sweater. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, and then she's all, like, pretended to be the mom, like, ew. That was fucking great. I love that.
One was great, too, but I think 2 is a little bit better.
Now, I did like Betsy Palmer as the killer, like, when you found out this nice old lady in the fisherman sweater was actually the killer. Victor says, hey, I made it. Hey, what's going on? Sorry, Tom's dying over there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, Guama said it's Lynchian as fuck. See, now I really want to see it. The Marilyn Monroe movie. That sounds awesome. Let's see. Jeff Yarrett says, I think people want to see the monster and not use their own imagination because they know their imagination is far more horrifying. seeing the fake CGI monster will get them out of the headspace.
Maybe.
Ooh, that's kind of an interesting take on it. I never really thought about it like that. Maybe people that kind of like horror movies but aren't like nerds about it like I am. Maybe that is why. Maybe that's kind of why movies, kind of like Conjuring universe movies and stuff like that tend to do better, even though to me they seem like all a bunch of like jump scares and stuff, which is not really all that scary to me. Maybe that's why. Maybe people can they see the movie and they can get a handle on the scary thing.
Well, my experience is that there are a lot of fans of certain franchises that are so fanboy about it. They get involved in extended universe stuff. And then when a new movie comes out and it doesn't conform to something in the extended universe, they reject the movie.
Yeah, it might be that too.
And one that comes to mind would be Prometheus 1 and 2. Because people had their own, these super fans had their own preconceived notions about the engineer and the aliens and all that, and the xenomorphs, and they didn't like how that story went. And I agree, in Prometheus 1, they cut too much of it out. But if you get the Blu-ray version and watch the extended edition, it's a lot better. They should have never cut that movie up like they did. They were just dumb to cut some of those scenes out of there. They were trying to add to the mystery, but really it kind of added to the frustration, I guess, for a lot of people, what this was, what this movie was about.
That might have been what I was talking about, where it's good to like cut out a lot of stuff, but that one I think the theatrical cut they cut out too much, so that mostly it just left people like confused and pissed off rather than intrigued and like wanting to learn more. Like I said, that's what I mean when I said it's like a delicate balance of like what you should leave out.
Because the whole movie's about trying to find these damn engineers who supposedly made mankind. They finally get one of them, the last one. They get him out of fucking hypersleep, and in the theatrical cut, he just comes up and just kills everybody. Like, what the fuck did that mean? But they cut out the dialogue, and you see it in the extended cut. And then there's some deleted scenes on the Blu-ray, and then some really good bonus material that talks about Tyrell from fucking Blade Runner and everything. Basically, what happens in the movie, which is the fucking whole meaning of the movie, they cut it away. It didn't make any fucking sense. The fucking engineer comes out of fucking hypersleep, and he's like, "What are you doing here? Why are you guys here?" And fucking the android says, "This man owns a powerful company who's brought us here, and he believes you can give him eternal life." And fucking the engineer says, "What gives him the right to ask for something like eternal life?" And fucking he translated it, and fucking what was his name? Wayland gets up there and he goes, "Look, me and you are creators. We're creating things. See this android man? My company built him out of nothing. And fucking we're creating life basically like you." And he goes, "And just on the back of that, me being a creator, we deserve immortality like you." And that fucking alien looked at that fucking android and tore its head off and fucking beat the old dude to death with it. And then ran off and then fucking activated the ship to go to Earth to destroy Earth. But they stopped him. So you're like, and that was beautiful, man. That's the way the movie should have been. But for some reason, they cut that out. It was just dumb. And then the sequel to it, because people didn't like the first one, they tweaked the sequel and went away from the whole how humans were created and why. They went away from that story, and that was a great story that they were telling. We were created the same way and the same reason for why Tyrell made the replicants. That's why, to serve our masters. Terraforming shit, basically, as part of the reason. Another reason is try to help the fucking engineers re-achieve immortality, or not immortality, but to re-achieve the ability to procreate, because they couldn't have children. It was a great story, but they scrapped the script. Dumb. Because that shit would have fucking flown real well. I guess Ridley Scott didn't have what it took to fight the studios, but his original script is fucking great. It's leaked onto the internet, and when you read it, you go, "Oh, okay," and it just would have been a movie on par with 2001: A Fucking Space Odyssey. Better, probably. Okay, she's back.
What were you talking bad about me?
Yeah, I was talking bad about you.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah.
Somebody said, I think that was Mango.
Yeah.
Said, great slasher for everyone, a forgotten one, My Bloody Valentine. Yeah, I agree, that's a good one. We actually reviewed that either this past Valentine's Day or the one before. That movie scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. I don't know why, because it's not that scary, but it's good. See the unrated one though. It's like way gorier. Somebody's asking about Grave Encounters. Yeah, that's a really good one. That's kind of found footage too, isn't it? And I don't usually like found footage all that much, but that's a good one actually. And let's see.
Somebody says that those movies also demystified Alien that came before it. No, not really. There's a bunch of shit that was still never unanswered about the xenomorph. Yeah, in the second one, the android makes a xenomorph, but it's not quite the same xenomorph. It's something else. I mean, it kind of does the same thing, but he stole that technology. So it doesn't really answer what that was. It was some kind of something they made up. I don't think maybe they actually have a reason for it or an explanation for it. Because when Alien 1 came out, it was just called the fucking biomechanoid, a living machine man. You know. So in other words, it's kind of like a replicant. But it's a replicant made by aliens. It's some kind of a servant. And it reproduces with you.
Adriana said, Jenny, have you seen Pupia Vati's House with the Laughing Windows? Quite macabre, leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and the end is quite depressing. Yeah, I actually love that movie. I've seen it a couple of times. I should do a video about it, I feel like. I don't think I wrote like a review for it on my website, but I don't think I ever did a video about it, and I probably should. Because I really do like that movie. And matter of fact, the video that I'm putting up tomorrow, that actually was one of the honorable mentions because it came out in 1976. Zach says, what bugs me is that the horror movies that are crap and non-scary only seem to make money, where the ones that are actually good and scary always seem to bomb. I kind of feel like that's, I don't know, that's usually true, like kind of across the board, because I feel like the best horror movies, you know, even the ones back in the 70s and 80s, a lot of them didn't really get appreciated at the time. It was only kind of like later on. Not always. Some were like appreciated as soon as they came out, like everybody recognized it. But, you know, the big example of that being like The Thing, which is amazing and, you know, one of the best horror movies ever. And yet it didn't really do all that well when it came out. Like people didn't really respond to it. For whatever reason, it just took a while to like find its audience. And I kind of feel like that happens with a particular kind of horror movie. It's really, really easy to make money with, like I said, kind of like, you know, Blumhouse's formula or like the Conjuring universe movies. And I'm not shitting on those because I like some of those as well. And like they do what they set out to do usually. But a lot of those, I don't know if people will still be talking about them in 40 or 50 years time. You know what I mean? Like the way that some people talk about classic horror movies from like the 60s nowadays. I don't know if people will be talking about a Blumhouse movie 40, 50 years from now, you know? They're good when you see them, but they're just kind of like forgettable. You know what I mean? That's all.
Oscar's saying he's saying the scene with the engineer, he thought it was ridiculous, but I don't know which scene he's talking about. I don't know if he's talking about the one that got cut or the one that was kept. Because the one that was cut, I thought it was good. The one that was in the one that was kept and put in the movie, I just thought it was fucking big disappointment. I mean, they spent all that time to fucking get that dude out of fucking sleep, and he wakes up and just kills everybody. You know? It's just kind of dumb. But what they said goes along the lines of fucking Blade Runner and Ridley Scott stuff, is that rich oligarchs want to replace us with basically either androids or biologically engineered products that are human-like, because they're easier to control. And that goes along with fucking the second part of Blade Runner. That's good too. So it all kinds of goes into that same theme. So I like that theme. It's just that they didn't quite get that one right. And then the second one, Prometheus 2, I think they called it Alien something or other. It had good parts in it. You could see where they were trying to go with that, but they changed it to please the crowd, and it didn't work. It didn't work. They should have stuck to their guns and stayed on the original path, and saved the first movie. They could have saved the first movie that way, but they didn't. Ridley Scott. He couldn't fight the studios, I guess. Or he was drunk.
Victor said, I watched Martyrs for the first time last weekend. That's a pretty fucked up movie, if you haven't seen it. Then fell asleep and had a nightmare. So I liked it, I guess. It definitely wasn't about what I thought it was going to be about. Yeah, that's, that one's a rough one. That's a rough one to sit through. I liked it, I guess, too, but I don't know if I'd ever want to sit through it again. I probably will at some point. Mago said, Speak No Evil is a recent horror film that has really stuck with me. Once seen, never forgotten. Is that the one that's on... Is it on Shudder? Because I was, like, looking at the new stuff on Shudder, and that did kind of look interesting if that's the same one that you're talking about. So I might put that down and watch that this month at some point, like, for my other series. Yeah. Because I'm always looking for, like, if you guys that have Shudder, or even if you have any of the other, like, Hulu or anything like that, if you see, like, a kick-ass horror movie on there that you think I would like, tell me, because I don't always, like, I try to keep track and keep up with new shit, but I can't. And I usually, like, agree with, like, y'all's taste. Yeah. So I need a way to, like, winnow through the stuff because there's just so many coming out that I can't keep up. Yeah, it said, it's on Shudder. It's Danish or something. Okay. Well, I'll watch that then.
And then Oscar says, the scene that they kept was fucked up. It was ridiculous. Yeah, it was. And then the scene that they threw away, where they gave you more information and explanation, that was a pretty good scene. When I bought the Blu-ray and then saw the scene, then the movie made sense more. So that would have brought the movie up to 75, 80 right there. You could have had a good sequel just going along that path. But they just... I guess it was a bad time for movies, and the fucking studios wanted more than what was possible, I guess. But I thought the movie looked great. It had a lot of good ideas. The black mutagenic goo. I was interested, man. You know, it's just that it was not edited in a way that was... I don't want to say coherent. It was kind of coherent, just that you didn't know what anything was. And then David the robot takes you a while. You got to watch it a bunch of times to realize it's actually him and Vickers that are in charge of everything. They're doing the investigation. The humans are just there to be test subjects. They're not doing anything. That was the idea. They chose the worst people possible to go on the mission so they could kill them, use them as test subjects. Every one of those people, every one of those humans was bad. They were bad at their job, every one of them, on purpose. They didn't want them asking any questions. They just wanted to use them, use that damn black goo on them, or use them as test subjects or something. But they were going to kill them because they were out in neutral waters, you know. You could do whatever you wanted on that planet to them. You weren't inside anybody's jurisdiction. So, but they didn't make any of that shit clear to the audience. You have to. I watched that movie a long time to try to. Jenny will attest to it. I saw that shit fucking 30 times trying to figure that bitch out. Because I knew there was a message there, but there's not enough information. They don't give you enough.
Holy Parish of Doom said, we're going to see Terrifier 2 this next week. Ooh.
That's a good one.
Terrifier 1.
Terrifier
1 was really good.
That was a good one, yeah.
I really liked that a lot, with Art the Clown. Yeah. And there was actually a movie before, like an anthology film that had where Art the Clown, the character, came from. What the fuck was the name of that thing? It was on Tubi. I watched it last Halloween, I think. Or the Halloween before. But yeah, I really, really liked Terrifier. That was, and I'm not usually into the whole evil clown thing, but that was a really good one. And the gore was off the chain. I was really into it. It was super fun. So the same theater is also running Fulci's Zombie and Rosemary's Baby in October, going to both. That's the thing. Now that October is here, that means that all the movie theaters and all the channels and everything like that are doing their 30 days of Halloween. I was thinking about doing, because you guys remember last year over on my Flickers of Fear thing, I did Eek Week. So I did kind of like Halloween-themed movies like every day. I don't know if I'm going to have time to do that this year because, you know, I started 2 new channels also. But I'm kind of like, I don't know if you guys know, but I try to keep everything like a month ahead. Usually, like 2, 3, 4 weeks ahead. So usually like at the end of 1 month, like a week before the end of 1 month, I'll put up a calendar. I have this big calendar, and I'll write down, like, all the book reviews and all the movies that I'm planning. Sometimes I'll move them around, like, if something gets taken off or something new comes out that I want to see or blah, blah, blah. But I'll do that. So I'm doing, like, a bunch of Halloween books like, I did find like 3 or 4 Halloween themed novels that I wanted to read. So I'm going to do kind of Halloween book themes like toward the end of the month. And I'm honestly though, I'm running out of good Halloween themed movies. Like it feels like we've talked about like all the good, like last year I did Hocus Pocus, and I did The Witches, and I did like all the Lady in White. Like I did all the good Halloween themed movies. So now I kind of feel like it's just kind of like shitty ones. So I'm like, I'm gonna try and find some to do like as Halloween gets closer. But I don't know. We'll see. If I get to the end of the month and like I have more time, then maybe I'll add more like special. Because I don't know. It always makes me mad because I always want to do more stuff for Halloween because I fucking love Halloween. It's my favorite. But then like it always kind of like sneaks up on me. And then by the time it gets here, I'm like, well, shit, I wanted to do this, that, and the other thing, and I don't have time to do it. But I definitely will do some more. I'm definitely doing some Halloween books. I already checked them out like on my Kindle Unlimited and everything. So I'm definitely going to do that. And I have some ideas for some Halloween themed movies. But like I said, I'm running out of good ones. And I don't necessarily just want to watch a bunch of like shitty, fucking Tubi original $1.50 movies because like $1.50 to make, I mean, because they're Halloween themed. I definitely want some good ones. But I feel like we've done all the good ones. Like we did Trick or Treat, we did all of those. So I don't know, we'll see how it goes. Holy Parish of Doom said, by the way, I checked out Jenny's review of Bug. Interesting flick. I think a lot of people misinterpret the story as just a crazy paranoid guy who infects the woman with his bugginess. Yeah, the thing about it, I'm glad that a couple people like commented on that. It's like, oh my god, I love this movie and I'm glad you're talking about it because I feel like nobody does. And I was like, that's what I thought too. I saw it in the theater and I fucking loved it. And then I was like, ooh, I wanted to watch it again because fucking Michael Shannon, man. He's great, and Ashley Judd is in it. And it's directed by William Friedkin, the same guy that did The Exorcist. And I was just kind of like, nobody fucking talks about it anymore, though.
See that one.
And it's so good. It's so good. It's like, it was based on a play, and like you can tell, because it just takes place almost entirely like in one hotel room. But the acting in it is phenomenal. It's so good. And it came out in 2006. And I just feel like it's sad that like a lot of people don't talk about it anymore. So when I saw that it was on Hulu or Amazon Prime or whatever, I said, oh shit, man, I'm going to talk about that because I love that movie.
It's almost 8:30. Are you getting hungry?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, we've been on for 2.5 hours, so.
Yeah. Ben says All Hallows Eve. Did we do that one? I don't know. I have to look because we've done like so many Halloween movies. Oh, All Hallows Eve was the one that was the Art the Clown one. That's right. I don't know if we reviewed it, but I have seen it. You should do all those Halloween scary house movies, like the houses that October built. I think I might have done that one. I'm pretty sure we did Houses October Built. I have to go back and look. I know I've seen it. I just don't know if we reviewed it or not. Holy Parish of Doom said, yeah, Michael Shannon's character perspective is spot on. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just kind of like the cool thing about that movie. I don't want to like spoil too much about it in case like people haven't seen it, but you could interpret it as Michael Shannon is just a schizophrenic and has, infected this woman with his crazy conspiracy theories, or maybe he's right and all of that stuff is going on, or maybe he's just like, maybe everything in the movie is just from his perspective, so it's not how that's happening. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost kind of like you don't know if what you're seeing is reality, if you're just seeing things filtered through his mental illness. It could go either way, and I like that about it. That's what I thought was cool. Oscar said, Jenny, yeah, everybody's telling me. My best friend's Exorcism is on Prime. Yeah, I'm going to watch that. I'll probably put up a review of it on Thursday. Because I just saw that it was up, and I really want to see it.
Khan of Aslan says the new season of Cobra Kai is up.
Yeah, I heard that was going up.
He says it's fantastic.
I heard that was going up.
He fucking loves it.
Maybe we should start watching it.
Yeah, probably watch Cobra Kai. He says it's great. He says it's the best one. Yeah.
I can't believe it seemed like the last one just went up not too long ago. Am I crazy?
If I remember, if I understand what he told me, there's a brand new one.
Well, remember, I told you the other day because I just saw something in the news and I was like, oh, the new Cobra Kai season is out already. And I was like, it seemed like the old one just came.
He says it's the best one and it doesn't pull any punches.
All right.
Yeah.
Victor said, "Did y'all ever watch Take Shelter?" Yeah, we did. We did a I think we did a matinee on it a while back. Yeah, we did. It was a while ago. Yeah, Michael Shannon's great. Well, honestly, like I wanted you to see Bug as well. I don't know if you'd like it or not. Like I said, I already reviewed it, so we're not going to do like a matinee. I put it in the poll a few times, but it never did win. And then I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it myself because I'd seen it and I really liked it, so I want to do it again. I don't know if you'd like it or not because it's not a horror movie necessarily. It's like psychological. And like I said, it's based on a play. So a lot of it is just kind of like two people in a room like talking. But I don't know. Like, you might dig it, though.
Are you hungry?
Yeah.
Want to make some tacos?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
I got to go in a bit.
All right. Let's see. Adriana said... Yeah, they're talking about Barbara Steele, shit like that. Okay, so Tom seems like he wants to...
Yeah, been gone for 2.5 hours. I gotta start cooking.
That he's gonna go make some tacos.
I'm gonna go make some tacos for everybody.
All
My
right.
fucking leg is hurting because I've been standing still for too long. Damn, fucking shit's sore, man.
Mango said, if I recall right, Friedkin's next film, Killer Joe, was written by the same writer who wrote Bug. Yeah, it was. It's the same guy. Tracy Letts, is the name of the guy that wrote both the plays. So, so I guess we're going to wrap it up. Now, I think that we're not going to be back until Monday because my sister is coming down tomorrow, I think, if all the travel works out because of all the hurricane bullshit. And me and her are going to go to the Disney Halloween thing, like, on Sunday. So I'm not going to be here on Sunday to do the matinee show, but we will be back on Monday to do a haunting. So that's the next time we'll go back. I'm just kind of hoping that she can get down here. I haven't heard anything yet, so... because I know some of the airports are closed still and shit like that. But we will be back on Monday to talk about a haunting. I don't know what episode yet. I'll let everybody know so they can watch it ahead of time, as I usually do. But thank you, everybody, for dropping by this evening. Thanks for Super Chats. Thanks for just being here and hanging out with us, because we always enjoy this on Friday night. And we will see you guys again on Monday. Good night.